right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And tonight, before we do open mic call-in, I've got a very special guest joining me. This is long overdue, Jason, but we're finally making it happen. You know him. I know him. Jason frickin' Aponte is here on Last Second Sports. What's going on, my guy?
Jesse, appreciate you, man. And yeah, this feels overdue, right? Like it really should have happened a long time ago. But I'm happy to be here, man, and I'm happy to be talking meaningful 49ers football with you, especially considering where we kind of thought we were a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you know, when we were going back and forth in DMs, that's something you said, and it is. It's crazy to think about. A couple weeks ago, the 49ers are 3-5. They're heading into that Rams game, and it seems like the season's probably going to be over at that point. We're talking, when does Trey Lance play? And now we're not only thinking, okay, we're on a 2-game win streak. We're going, is playoffs a possibility? Is going deep in the playoffs a possibility? Everything's completely changed, and it's a good vibe. But before we get started, I have to make sure that everybody knows where to catch you. You obviously see Jason's Twitter handle right there below his name, at Jason Aponte 2103. And you can find the link to his YouTube channel, Sprint Right Auction Pod, everything all in the description below. So make sure you tap in with him. And this is also the first show I'm doing. I just started a Patreon, so the link to that is also in the description. Make sure you tap in with that. But let's get started, Jason. Huge win on Sunday. I know it was against Jacksonville, but it's 2 in a row. They dominated the game. I think a lot of us thought it could be a trap game coming in. The fact that they were going from west to east, they were coming off of a major win against a Super Bowl caliber team, and you're playing a bad team. It just seemed like it could be a letdown, but it was anything but that. What were your takeaways from Sunday's game?
Yeah, you know, when you're a good team, or at least a team that is on the way to a playoff berth or something like that, you should at least do this, right? Like, the sign of a good team is eviscerating teams that are lower than you or underneath you. And here's the thing. I think that the idea of it being a trap game, which I wasn't really necessarily on board with the trap game too, because it's hard for it to be a trap game when you're 4-5, in my opinion. I think that it was maybe a letdown game. Like, I mean, I guess that's the same thing. The word trap game means, like, for me, if you're 7-2 and you're facing this Jacksonville Jaguars team, that kind of feels like it could be a trap game. But the reason that we kind of felt that way was they literally beat the Bills 2 weeks prior, and then they played the Colts to the gun. And the Colts just eviscerated the Bills this week. And so it almost felt like this is a team that just hangs around. They kind of, are great on defense. But what the 49ers did was impose their will. And that game was necessarily, in my eyes, over once it was that 3-and-out happened after that long drive, because now that defense has to go back out there. The 49ers have already imposed their will, and that game kind of felt like it was cooked right after that 3-and-out, because they had the ball for like 6-7 plays while the 49ers had run like 45 plays or something like that, something crazy. Time of possession was dominated. So for me, that felt like the sign of a team that has turned the corner. So as much as you want to say, hey, it's the Jaguars, the 49ers did exactly what good teams do, which is take care of business and leave no doubt. And I think that's the part that I walked away with.
Yeah, you know what, Jason, I agree with you on that. And that's one of my 2 big takeaways as well, because that's exactly what we expected to see going into that Arizona game, right? They were down all of their offensive weapons. You're going against Colt McCoy. There's no D-Hop. There's no A.J. Green. Running back goes down first couple plays. They lose a guard throughout that game. Like, there's no way that the Cardinals should win that game. What the heck happened? So going into this Jacksonville game, I definitely had my reservations. I'm going, okay, well, sure, we saw it against the Rams, but like, is this the real 49ers? Was the team that we saw against the Cardinals the real 49ers? You could go either way. You know, my other big takeaway was the run game. That's now 2 weeks in a row that they've completely dominated, 40+ carries in each game. That's something that, I mean, this is what, 2019 type vibes, right? And I hate to say it, right? I don't want to go that route. This is not the 2019 team, but they finally have an identity, it feels like, coming out of these 2 weeks. And I think that that's huge as they try to make this playoff run. So for me, those were my 2 big takeaways. But I completely agree, man, that the way that they put it on Jacksonville, that's what good teams do. And now we know that, hey, this could be a good team.
One more thing that kind of led me to believe that this game would have been a little bit closer is just the chaotic nature of this season. I understand that the NFL is unpredictable, but there's something about this season that is far more unpredictable than I could even imagine at this point. Teams like the Titans lose to the Texans and the Jets. What? And those are the only losses they really have. And then they go and they eviscerate the Rams on national television. And it's like, I don't know what to expect week to week. And I definitely didn't. The message that I tried to get across was, stop taking teams lightly. Don't act like anything's a blowout, because I heard it all going into that same Arizona week. And I think that this year, for some reason, is particularly unpredictable. And I can't put my finger on it at all. But that's what makes the NFL so beautiful. And I hate the cliche of any given Sunday. But if there's ever been a season to perpetuate that cliche or narrative, it's this season. And that's another reason why I was a little skeptical going into this game, that it would be just a walk in the park.
No, that's a great point, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because I was going to bring up something very similar here, and we'll just talk about playoff scenarios. There is, to me, there's no clear-cut favorite. All of these teams are very beatable, whether it's AFC, NFC. Again, if you asked me 2 weeks ago if the 49ers could somehow sneak into the playoffs, either go to Dallas or Tampa or LA, Arizona, whatever, I would say they got no shot. They're getting mopped in those games. Now I'm looking at it going, wait a minute, are these teams really that dominant? It sure doesn't seem that way. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Obviously, they have to make it there first. But that being said, what are some of the scenarios that you could see playing out? It for you, is it like a win scenario? Is it beat certain teams along the way? What are you looking at over the next few weeks from the 49ers?
Realistically, there's 7 games left. And there's a bunch of teams jockeying for position right now. And it just feels like there is no hierarchy right now. I mean, in terms of who we know is going to be in, obviously we know Arizona is going to be in, barring some sort of monumental collapse, literally losing every single game and getting knocked out, which I don't think is going to happen. They're about to get Kyler Murray back and everything else as well. The Packers are in. The Cowboys are going to be in. The Bucks are going to be in. After that, that's 4 spots. There's 3 spots between 7 or 8 teams. So this could play out in many different ways. What I'll say is this. I think that the 49ers, to solidify themselves and even put themselves in a position to be in a 5th seed, something like that, go 5-2 right here for these 7 games. And I hate looking ahead, right? And I hate sharpieing W's in, because I think that's kind of what we did earlier in the season, which made all of the losing particularly frustrating. It's like, man, you can't lose these games to teams that you believe that you were going to beat. The Colts game jumps out at you. The Packers game was 30 seconds away from, being a victory as well. A lot of people had that ticked off as a win just because they believed of 2019, they still own this team, which, again, I have a big issue with the whole 2019 thing, but that's a whole conversation for another day. But in terms of what the team needs to do, at the very minimum, 4-3, 5-2 makes you feel a lot better. And then from there, because there's only 1 bye week, a lot of teams are just going to be playing to make sure that they get a home game, at least 1 home game, not knowing where they're going to go week to week. So with that extra spot, right now the 49ers are in a good spot. I mean, again, you don't want to downplay your opponents, but the Falcons, the Texans, and again, this is why the league is so week to week. If you would have asked me 5 weeks ago, hey, the 49ers are going to go into Tennessee, oh my goodness, I wouldn't have said, hey, they have a chance to win this game. Derrick Henry, now no Derrick Henry, and the Titans are a completely different team. They're very much one-dimensional, and you're starting to see the cracks. And I think that's what the week-to-week nature, and I should have told myself that, because I definitely was doom and gloom after the Arizona game. I think I said something stupid on my podcast, something to the nature of the season's over. And now look who looks stupid, this bozo. So yeah, that's why you don't overreact, and you just take it week to week. And that was something that I had been preaching before that. After the Bears game, I was like, hey, man, circumstances change. Look, Arizona's not going to have Kyler Murray and all these people. And then, look, they go get whipped. And then that's when I kind of fell into that trap myself. So I learned a lesson this entire season so far. But, yeah, 5-2, 4-3 at the bare minimum. And the team should be in good shape to make the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, if that guy's a bozo for what he said, then this guy's definitely a bozo, because I said the exact same thing. And not only that, I said they would get mopped 40-20 going into that Rams game.
Me too. I said something about we're about to watch a public humiliation, and literally we did. It just went the other way. So happy to be wrong, but also just tweaking my process. And if I take my victory laps on things I get right, better believe that I'm gonna be in front of it when I get things wrong. And that's for sure. I got that one wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm right there with you. You're right. I mean, there's so many ways that this can go. I mean, looking at it right now, I think knowing that they're competing for that last spot with the Vikings, it feels like this is a must win. But it's not necessarily the case, because if they go 5-2 and lose this game, they're good. Or they could go 4-3 and they could beat teams like the Vikings, the Seahawks, the Falcons. They still probably make it in because they own all the tiebreakers with everybody. So there's so many different ways this thing could shake out. I don't think it's necessarily about wins and losses. It's about who they beat along the way. And all of a sudden, New Orleans, I mean, we're not even talking about the 7th seed, Jason. They could get the 6th seed, or dare I say, the Rams are right for the picking the 5th seed. Like, this could go so many different ways. So it's crazy, man. It's awesome. It's exciting. There's new life. And, you know, we'll see how this whole thing plays out. But the playoffs, talking about the playoffs at this spot in the season after the way it started, nobody would have guessed. Nobody.
You really can't ask for anything more than that. This Vikings game coming up is the biggest game of the season. Feels like a playoff game within the season as well. And yeah, I mean, you really can't ask for anything more than that. You know, and for as much as I said, hey, the season's over right after Arizona, there were a lot of people that were looking at that the same way. And you know what? Any 49er fan that sits and looks you in the face and says, I knew they were going to beat the Rams, is either just thinking that they're going to win every single game, or someone who's lying. And that's the other part that kind of bothers me. It's like, hey, man, you know, people pulling receipts like, oh, look what you said. Bro, you really believe that they were going to go ahead and beat the Rams after they just got beat by the putrid Cardinals with Colt McCoy? Come on, man. Like, it's like, dude, it's okay to say, hey, look, I got it wrong. But to have that bravado of, you know, man, they were going to watch the Rams. No, you didn't believe that. You could have thought they were going to win, but you didn't think that was going to happen, especially when Jared Goff's not. Yeah, come on. Like, and that's why it was like literally Steve Young and one other analyst who believed that, and maybe like 3 people on Twitter who believed that they were going to actually beat the Rams. We were all pleasantly surprised, and it changed the season. So good to be wrong, but don't act like you were in front of it. Like, let's just be real with ourselves.
Yeah, that's the big one, right? The pulling the receipts. Well, I said they were going to win. You didn't think they would blow them out like that. Come on. Nobody had that happening. Nobody. No. I don't care who you are. Before we get to the next topic, and I wanted to start with this, and I completely spaced it. Thanksgiving's coming up, Jason. What is your go-to side dish?
Okay, so I'm Puerto Rican, right? And this has been a long discourse on Twitter about turkey and this and that. Look, we don't make turkey. I don't know. Like, it's not in the bag. We don't make turkey. We make beni, which is pork. We make that. We have rice and beans. And we have empanadas and pasteles. So it's hard for me the traditional Thanksgiving meals. That's not what's been served in my household. And like, for me, what I love is the beni with the jarro, con candules and the empanadas. That's rice and beans and all that stuff. That's not traditional stuff, though. Like, it's not. So like, that's the discourse around it. You know, like when people are like, well, this is trash and this is trash. I don't have that in my household, unfortunately. I don't know. So I guess my side dishes aren't exactly. I mean, mashed potatoes are great, actually, as well too. Mashed potatoes are great as well, you know. But like, I don't necessarily like stuffing. No, thank you. Turkey, no, thank you. Mac and cheese is cool. Like, I'm with that. That's fine. But we don't have the traditional stuff. Like, nobody walks into our house with cranberry sauce. Like, that doesn't happen.
It's not a thing.
Yeah, it's not a thing, bro. Like, I think the thing that makes me more upset, Jesse, is this somehow people slandering apple pie. Like, when did this get cool at all? Like, what's wrong with apple pie? I like people are like, apple pie is trash. What? Are you kidding me? Apple pie is like solid, efficient, works, and anybody can have it. Like, this idea that apple pie is trash, I think, is the part that has me more upset about this whole Thanksgiving dinner discourse that's been happening on Twitter.
They talked about apple pie in the monologue that started out regulators. Apple pie is not trash. I'm sorry.
No.
Just not going to happen. By the way, though, the whole turkey thing, not a fan, especially white meat turkey. It's extremely dry.
Dark meat turkey,
I
I'm
don't
with.
like it.
I'll have that. I agree with you 100%.
Not with it. I would much rather eat what you eat for Thanksgiving. Let me be clear about that. That sounds delicious. For me, sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. It was something that my grandma always made. She'd always like mash them, cook them, whatever. And then she would put the marshmallows on top and put it in the oven. And oh my God, it's so bomb. Anyways, that's my go-to side dish for sure.
I like it. I mean, look, I'm not, I've had turkey before. I'm not against it, but like you said, white turkey, no good. I'm with dark turkey, but all the other stuff like stuffing and why? Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, I don't get
it. I feel you. All right, man. So this topic right here was put in because you threw out some really good stats on Deebo yesterday. And I wanted to make sure that everybody watching knows exactly what some of those stats are, just how good of a season Deebo Samuel is having. And, you broke it down really good. So why don't you go ahead and let the audience know what that was?
Yeah. So, just to run through some of them, Deebo Samuel currently leads the NFL in yards per touch with 15.3 per touch. Justin Jefferson is right behind him with 14.5. And I think what really you should take away from that is the way that they get the ball to Deebo Samuel. And it's behind the line of scrimmage at times. How are you still averaging that much with plays behind the line of scrimmage, handoffs, jet sweeps? I think it just speaks to the football player in Deebo Samuel. Some other ones that are out there, all-purpose yards. Right now, Jonathan Taylor's lighting the world on fire. He leads the league in that category, 1,444, right? But Deebo Samuel's right behind him with 1,206. And that keeps that also quantifies with catches, rushes, and remember, Deebo Samuel has a few kickoff returns. So that's why Deontay Harris is fourth on this list with 1,119. But it's something that I noticed in camp. And I have to be clear. I had always felt like the whole Deebo Samuel stuff was a little bit overblown. I felt like he was a guy who operated well in the offense. But when I was at camp for the 2 weeks that I was there was a difference in what he was doing. And it's translated right over into the season. What I mean by that is every rep that he took, it didn't matter who was the cornerback. And I'm talking about Jason Verrett. Anybody who was in front of him, he was winning every single rep down the field. He was the best player on the field every single day. And there was something about this season that he either heard all of the glorified running back, extension of the run game, everything that has been said about him as far as those sort of takes and like the Michael Jordan meme, I took that personally. And he just literally translated all of the things that we saw in camp over into this season. And that's why when I talk about Deebo Samuel should be discussed, I understand the MVP is a quarterback award. I get it. Tom Brady's going to win that award. He's going to. Okay, that's fine. What I mean about discuss is the literal interpretation that I have of most valuable is valuable to the team. And where would the 49ers be without Deebo Samuel? Literally. Look, no disrespect to Cooper Kupp or any of those guys. If you took Cooper Kupp off the Rams, I'm not certain that they have lost more games than they've won. Like, they're not going to have another game or two off of their wins, right? The Bears game is directly correlated to Deebo Samuel. On 3rd and 20, a tunnel screen that was supposed to just be get a few yards to back it up for or to give Mitch some space to punt, literally almost goes to the house for a touchdown and changes the fortune of that game. And we may well look back on that play and say, that's what saved the 49ers season. And it may have saved Jimmy Garoppolo's job because I was in Chicago. There was a certain player who was taking warm-ups as soon as they came out of the tunnel. And that's not a narrative. I was there. I saw it with my eyes. It was that close. But guess what? Not going to happen. Jimmy Garoppolo has played how he's played. Seems like that's not a discussion anymore. And you know what? I know that you're a big Trey guy, but shouldn't be a discussion right now with the way Jimmy's playing. He's just playing too well right now.
Yeah.
But how valuable Deebo Samuel has been to this team what he's done, the big plays, every time this team needs a big play, every time. And even this Jacksonville game, I feel like, yeah, one catch for 15 yards. Cool. But what he did when he was asked to do what he was done, like, we're going to use you as a running back in this game. And he does it, and he scores a touchdown. And he was the best running back on the field. Jeff Wilson averaged 2.9. Trey Sermon averaged 3.2. Deebo Samuel was the most efficient with his touches. Where would this team be without Deebo Samuel? And I think that is the reason that I say, I know he's not going to win MVP, but you damn sure better be discussing him at this point, because where would this team be without him?
Yeah, and to be real, if it wasn't for Taylor, offensive player of the year probably would be a thing, because you're right. Usually quarterbacks get MVP, running backs get offensive player of the year. That's where Deebo would have a shot. But Taylor, I mean, the 5 touchdowns this last week kind of put him in a different stratosphere. By the way, I went against Taylor in my money fantasy league
and you won.
Wow. I won.
You live to tell the tale. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So, yeah, anyways, it's incredible what Deebo's doing. Vish, before the season started, said that he thought Deebo, at least early on, would be in the MVP discussion. That was a bold take. Wow, that's come to fruition. And I said that Deebo would announce himself to the world. So not as bold, but I think a lot of us, you saw it, you pointed it out. A lot of people were saying that Deebo is going to break out this year. And man, he has done just that. It's absolutely incredible. Where do you think? So if we're going to that draft class, 2019, that's a really good draft class, Jason. You've got the likes of AJ Brown, you've got DK Metcalf, McLaurin. That's your draft crush, man. Yeah. That's the girl that got away, was Terry McLaurin for you.
That's the one that like people worry about a lot of things that have a lot to do with real life ramifications. I wake up in cold sweats because the 49ers drafted Jalen Hurd over Terry McLaurin. And like, that's the type of stuff that like keeps me up at night, because it's like, hey man, I'm not going to kill you, Kyle Shanahan, because you made some great picks and a lot of people have. But goodness gracious, could you imagine what it would be like to have Deebo and Terry McLaurin? And look, nothing against Brandon Ayuk, but if you nail that Deebo and Terry McLaurin pick right there, back to back, then Brandon Ayuk's not on his team, but you can use it to fill it with a blue chip cornerback, something else. So, I mean, again, no disrespect to Brandon Ayuk, but I think we all know what Terry McLaurin is at this point right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at it, I mean, I got to imagine coming into the season, you would have him behind all those guys. I think we all would, really. But now that he's made this statement, I mean, prisoner of the moment, maybe, but where would you rank these guys?
It's so hard. And I hate that you just put me on the spot to do this, because
AJ. No, we didn't talk about it, but I got to ask.
No, but it's fine. It's AJ Brown. Look, I think that there's no wrong answer in any way that you really, gauge any of these guys, right? Terry McLaurin has how many 1,000-yard seasons with 3 different quarterbacks? Right now, he leads the league in contested catches. And a lot of people would say, hey, he's not getting separation. No, that was actually a weakness in his game that he actually fixed. And now he's better at it now. Imagine, get that guy with a quarterback, man, and you'll really see what Terry McLaurin can do. With DK right now, what's going on in Seattle? I don't know, man. And I don't think that has anything to do with him as a route runner or anything like that. A lot of the 3-cone stuff was overblown. And that's why you can't really get wrapped up in narratives, right? Jonathan Taylor fell into the second round because people said he couldn't catch. And now look, imagine that. Like, how many teams passed on Jonathan Taylor, and we're going to be looking back on it like, damn, what did you do? There's no wrong answer. I just don't even know if there should be any order. I think that we are blessed. These last 2 draft class, in terms of wide receivers, they're up there with any of the draft classes of any wide receiver in the history of this game. And you literally just named all of them, right? You're talking about AJ, DK, Terry, Deebo, Deontay Johnson, who also deserves to get to, like, this is ridiculous, right? That's 1 year. The next year, you're literally looking at CeeDee, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk. Like these names are going to be guys who are going to be studs in this league for a long, long time. So I don't really think that there's any wrong answer in the way that you rank them at this point. Right now, Julio's just been injured for a while, unfortunately. I mean, Julio's my guy. That's like my favorite player in the league. But yeah, I mean, look, Claypool, exactly. Come on, man. The list goes on and on. So I think that when people want to And you're right about the prisoner of the moment thing, because we could immediately right now just say, hey, look what Deebo's doing. He has better numbers than all these guys. We're going to put him first. But, this is his third year. A lot of those guys have production over their years. So gun to my head, let's just do this right now. Let's just do this I would say probably AJ, only because there's something about that big, fast, strong receiver. And I understand right now the numbers aren't reflecting that, because right now the Titans are super one-dimensional. And when that play action is not working, Tannehill is not nearly as effective when he has to straight drop back. So I get that that's tapered off. AJ, Deebo, because Deebo is now, you can't quantify what Deebo is. He's not a wide receiver anymore. He's an offensive weapon. And that's something that's completely different. And I saw Jamal bring it up about Cordero Patterson. Look how long it took somebody to really get the best out of Cordero Patterson. And that's coming this year, and how long it took. So Deebo 2, I'm going to put Terry 3, because I feel like Terry's route tree is much better than DK's. And that's no knock on him, right? And I think Seattle has done the right thing with DK. If a guy's not good at doing something, don't make him run routes that are, you're not going to run a bunch of slants with him or anything like that. If he can't move 3-cone, get him in good spaces. So I think Terry can do everything. Terry can run all the routes, and that's why I have him ahead of him. DK, and then who's the fifth one we're talking about? Man, Deontay Johnson, man. I don't know, bro.
Johnson, yeah,
I don't know, bro. Deontay Johnson needs to be up there. And a lot of people knocked him for his drops last year. He has 92 targets and 1 drop. And that's the only thing that Deebo really needs to clean up. But I know he'll clean it up, because it's possible to do that. So, dude, I don't think that there's any wrong way to look at this. I just think that we're blessed as football fans to watch all of these guys. And I think that, these last 2 draft classes, find me a better draft class of wide receivers in back-to-back years, man. You're going to be hard-pressed. I don't think that it's easy. So I'm sorry, that was long-winded. I apologize.
No, listen, it's good. It's good. I actually had this conversation last week with Javi and Vish, and I'm glad that you said AJ Brown number 1, because AJ Brown was my pre-draft crush. And I've been saying he's better than DK, and a lot of people think I'm crazy for it, but I do. I mean, let's not forget, these guys were on the same team in college, and it was AJ Brown, not DK, that was the alpha there, right? So they're only 2 years removed. AJ Brown's every bit as good as he was then. He's played through some gnarly injuries from what he said. So listen, AJ Brown's a G, but you're right. They're all so damn good, Jason. There's no right or wrong. It really comes down to preference. And of course, we're 49er fans, so Deebo, right?
And what Deebo's doing this year is so special. It is, man.
Yeah,
and
it's so different.
I haven't been this excited about a wide receiver on my team since Terrell Owens. And that means something. And he was drafted by this team, right? That's the thing. It's he's about to become the first wide receiver with 1,000 yards since Anquan Bolden in 2014. But if you want to go further back, and we could change that stat, since Terrell Owens, because if we're talking about drafted players, and that's how excited, Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice are my 2 favorite players of all time.
Right.
Deebo Samuel is doing something and getting into that territory. So this feels special this season, and that's why you have to put him up a little bit higher.
And not only that, the way he plays, it's he's like Venom, right? He's the anti wide receiver. He has no diva to him. He's all about that action. He's going to hit you. He wants to be a football player. And that is very rare. The personality plays into it. He's not selfish at all. He just wants to help the team win. I love everything about Deebo. We're blessed to have this kid on the team. We really are.
100%. I wish we'd have had Terry McLaurin, but that's a whole
I know. All right. So listen, there's a lot of good teams with offensive weapons in the league, but it got me thinking, you know what? I had the Deebo question there, and I said, well, hold on. We got Deebo. We got Ayuk. We've got Kittle. And we have a hell of a young running back in Mitchell who's playing really well. If you take those 4 players and put them up against other offensive weapons in the league, where do they rank? I mean, there's not many teams that I can say really hold a candle to that. Off the top of the head, for me, Dallas was the one that jumped up, right? They've got 3 really good receivers and a very good running back.
And their third receiver is not talked about enough.
No, Gallup is not. You're absolutely right about that.
Gallup is incredible, man. And and feast up on Thursday when you watch them play. You're about to watch him go crazy this week.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Fantasy, if you
Oh yeah,
can,
start him.
start him, all of
Yeah,
the above. Yeah.
man.
but but yeah, so the offensive weapons, man, like where do you think these offensive weapons rank across the league? How many teams do you think are clearly better than the 49ers?
I could think of Tampa, just because Mike Evans is one of the most underrated, underappreciated receivers. The only one with the only receiver with 7 straight seasons to start his career of 1,000 yards receiving, and that's with Jameis Winston and obviously Tom Brady. That's clearly an upgrade. Dallas clearly jumps out at you, right? And
Yeah,
then the Chiefs, right? Obviously Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Now, when you get to the running back portion, I'm not as big on Clyde Edwards-Helaire as other people are. And then when you look at, Mecole Hardman, that felt like a pick that was reactionary to the fact that the Chiefs believed that Tyreek Hill was going to be suspended because of other reasons, right? Like they wanted to fill that
right.
speed role, but when you talk about explosive players, that's right up there. After that, it gets really hairy in terms of who you really believe is going to be better. Now, look, had this been last week or 2 weeks ago, and let's say the Rams had Kupp, Odell, and Woods, then that's
Right.
something else that we had to discuss. But Robert Woods is not there right now, okay, at this point. And I think that the Arizona Cardinals kind of present a funny little wrench into this because I'll be the first to admit I didn't care that they signed AJ Green. I definitely didn't care that they brought in James Conner, but they're making it work. And how did we let Rondell Moore fall into the hands of them? And that is the problem that I have, right? Like Rondell Moore seems like an afterthought, and he's going to be a phenomenal player. So off the top of my head, Dallas, Tampa, the Chiefs, the Cardinals, the Vikings. I like that one a lot, man.
Yeah.
So the Vikings went from Stephon Diggs to Justin Jefferson. That's insane. That makes no sense at all. That makes no sense at all, right?
They did what the 49ers tried to do with Buckner to
Kinlaw.
Kinlaw, but
Yep.
they did it way better. Way better.
Yeah, man. I mean, the problem is that, the buzz out of Justin Jefferson was, oh, he'll only be a slot receiver. Well, that's what you get for overthinking it. That's what
Yeah.
everybody gets for overthinking it. But they're on the short list. They're in the top 5, top 7 with that as well, too, man. I mean, just it's that good. And think about this. Ayuk is now hitting his stride. Mitchell was a 6th-round pick. We all assumed that it was going to be Trey Sermon. That was going to be the guy with Mostert. I think that this 49ers offense stacks up very well. I mean, these offensive weapons stack up very well with other teams. But those guys, those teams that I mentioned, those are the teams that you probably would say probably have better. You could make the distinction. I think, you know what? If we're talking about the Chiefs now let's get spicy. Because I get it that Kelce is a better receiving tight end than George Kittle.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But Deebo, Kittle, and Ayuk for me is better than Hill, Kelce, and Hardman for my taste. And I'm not big on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They could have had Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, like they took Clyde
oh God, could you imagine? Oh my gosh.
So they took Clyde
What
Edwards-Helaire.
a nightmare.
Right. So for me, I think that's where the discussion comes in. And I think that the 49ers have better receivers and an all-around tight end that is probably better with a running back that right now is probably better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Steelers are another team that comes to mind. They have 3 really good receivers, and then, of course, Najee Harris. But I think the 49ers are right there. And the great thing about it, Jason, all of these guys are relatively young. Kittle's the oldest one, and they're going to be together, barring injury or something crazy, for probably the next 4 years. Like, this is a good core for Trey to come into the league with and build around. I mean, talk about if Trey turns out, right? Like, let's say Trey's as good as I think Trey's going to be, right? Like that's the best that he's going to be is my ceiling for him. Whoa. I mean, we're talking about one of the most explosive offenses that the 49ers have possibly ever had. And that's saying a lot when you've got the Joe Montanas, the Steve Youngs, the Jerry Rices, the Terrell Owens, the Taylors, all of them, right? Like this could be a very, very interesting offense going forward with the mastermind that is Kyle Shanahan. I say a lot of things about Shanahan, but one thing I will not say is that man's play design is top notch. So you start adding that into this. Oh my gosh, Jason, this could be incredible. So we'll see what happens with it.
I agree, and I think that that's the hope for everybody, right? And that's the whole idea, is that this core is ready to go with somebody. And even if Trey takes his lumps in his first season, because all rookie quarterbacks do, they're still in position to be a player, because of those things that you mentioned, those players, the coach, and those, and realistically, the run game, and that's it. Like that's always kind of been the discussion for Trey to start, is like, hey man, you design a lot of these layups for other quarterbacks, and not just Jimmy Garoppolo, like Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard. You've developed those layups. You have the running game. You know that he can use his legs as well too. It's like, a whole other discussion for another day. But yes, imagine if that kid takes steps and actually
gosh.
develops. Yeah, it becomes a scary thought.
It definitely does. Well, Grant does Grant things, and he's lit Twitter on fire with this topic over the last 24 hours. So we have to discuss it.
Follow that Grant.
If any scenario, is it possible that Jimmy frickin' Garoppolo comes back next year?
The 49ers have to win the Super Bowl, and Jimmy Garoppolo has to be the reason why. What I mean by that is not hand the ball off 40 times and operate the offense, efficiently like he's doing right now, which, give him a ton of credit. He is right now at this point.
For sure.
You have to. But Jimmy Garoppolo has to throw for 350 yards in games that the 49ers fall behind in. He has to lead a game-winning drive in the championship game to get them into the Super Bowl. He has to win the Super Bowl with his arm at the end of that game. That's the only scenario that I see that just playing out, because there's no way that, Jimmy Garoppolo is playing fine football right now. And that's the problem, right? Like, it's like you can't nitpick wins when the guy is not turning the ball over. He makes every single throw that you're asking him to do. And even if that's, 2025, that's fine. But come on, man, let's rip the Band-Aid off at this point and let's make the move. If anything that Jimmy Garoppolo is doing right now is, one, he's putting his team in position to win games, and that's, pretty much all you can ask for. And also hyping up his trade value, because I can see him going somewhere else. Pittsburgh comes to mind, because there are no quarterbacks in this draft that I feel excited about. Like, if Trey Lance came out in this draft, he is the far and away number one pick, in my opinion. I mean, obviously you might want to take the edge rusher, that kid from I believe he's Oregon, right? Like he's
Thibodeau, yeah,
Thibodeau. He's a stud. I get that, but Trey Lance would be far and away the number one quarterback in this draft coming up, because a lot of people thought it would be Spencer Rattler, and he's benched. And now there's nobody out there. So Pittsburgh is the team that comes to mind, right? They've already come out and said, we're not going to be going with anybody who wants to be a rookie or anything like that. They're going to be trying to get Rodgers, Watson, whoever, but I don't know how feasible all that is. So Jimmy Garoppolo would have to win the Super Bowl, and he would have to be the main reason that they won the Super Bowl. Not the guy who operated the offense and managed the games, the guy who won the game for you with his arm and made the big plays down the stretch. That remains to be seen, but that's the only scenario in my eyes that I could see that this would happen.
I agree with you, by the way, but
there's no scenario I'm not, for you, right?
I'm just not confident. It's not that. Yeah, I mean, yes, for me, but I'm just not confident in anything anymore. Like, I thought for sure that Jimmy would have been gone on draft night, and then I said, well, maybe trade deadline. Well, they're 3-5. Like, there's so many times where I've been like, all right, it's Trey's time. It's Trey's time. Okay, now it's Trey's time. I don't know when it's going to be Trey's time, and I hope that it doesn't linger into next year. I can't imagine that it does. I think Pittsburgh, that's the team that definitely comes to mind for me. Washington is another team. The Giants, somebody said in the chat. So there's definitely teams that are out there. Kind of to your point, though, this is not a good quarterback draft at all. I mean, Malik Willis is fine. There's like one more kid from like Ole Miss or something. I don't know.
Howell from North Carolina. It's like, these guys might end up being good starters, right? But I think that's the point of going to 3, right? Is because no matter how you feel about these guys, this quarterback class, I think there are a lot of good quarterbacks. Lawrence is going to be good. You know how I feel about Justin Fields. Look, we got to give a credit to Mac Jones. He's performing how we thought he would, which is weird that people are taking victory laps on the fact that we all said
Dude,
he would be this immediately, and he's literally doing it. And people are like, "You see?" And we were like, "Yeah, we told you the same thing." And literally everybody and their mom knew that Mac Jones was the most ready to go guy, and he also stepped into a great situation. Zach Wilson's the only one that kind of scares me at this point, but right now. I don't think that you could justify waiting another year in the draft because of who was coming out the next year. And that's why I don't. The only problem I have with what Shanahan did was it felt like moving to 3 was plan Z. In terms of like you literally like exhausted every single quarterback that you could have possibly had in your search. And then when you realized, hey man, we can't get somebody in here, we have to make a move to get one of these guys. And he moved up to 3. Like that wasn't the plan to begin with. It just felt like you exhausted every single option before you got to that. And that's the only thing that I have to say with it. Don't have anything bad to say about the pick because I wanted Justin Fields, but if it was going to be Fields or Lance, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Fine. Just not Mac at 3. And just, obviously you weren't going to get Lawrence or Zach, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And really it was playing like 2Z because even up to draft night, they were talking about the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. So it's like, okay, my gosh, like how many different directions?
That's my only question is just, I made a joke about it on Grant's show, but it was true. Like you have no plan. Like you literally were just going from plan to plan. And it's like, okay, when that door closes, all right, well, what about this door? That door closes. All right, what about this door? No, there was no clear plan. Like you didn't go into this offseason saying, man, we're going to try to move up to 3 so we can go get somebody. No, you literally tried to get every veteran quarterback with 2 arms under the sun before you got to 3. And that's the part that like, dude, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Deshaun Watson, like, dude, like everybody.
Andy Dalton.
Brady, Stafford, everybody, bro. Like that's why this is the only part, and I don't want to rant, but the whole Jimmy's my guy the entire time, that was a lie. Come on, bro. Like stop it. You tried to replace him with everyone you possibly could. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the good news is it seems like Jimmy seems to be driving up his trade value. I mean, we thought maybe 5th, 6th with that money. To me, I'm looking at it saying, hey, maybe this is like a 4th that could escalate to a 3rd or a 3rd that could escalate to a 2nd. Like, just keep playing good at this point, Jimmy. Like, let's get something for this guy. That would be fantastic.
Keep your reputation up of being a winner. Stop turning the ball over and just make it through the season healthy. And then we'll see. That's it. If this team makes the playoffs with Jimmy Garoppolo, then 2 things happen. Kyle Shanahan, the one thing that he told you that actually he stuck to the entire time that was actually true was that he was going to play Jimmy the entire time until they were mathematically out of it. That's the one thing that he actually said for a fact that is still true because, he told us Hufanga wasn't, was going to be the starter this week. No, that's not what's going to happen. Like, obviously Tart was going to get his spot back, but that, and then 2, it's like, just keep your narrative around you in the league going. There's someone else who believes that they can get their hands on you and fix you or improve you. Right? There's someone out there watching Daniel Jones right now playing for the Giants and says, let me get my hands on this kid and I can fix him. I can make him a little bit better. So that's the thing, right? So just make it through the season, be efficient, don't turn the ball over, make the playoffs and and if the 49ers make the playoffs, especially how we were thinking about it a few weeks ago, this is a successful season in my opinion. I would like to see Trey get more development because I would like to see the arrow pointing up. Like I said on Grant's show, the Bears lost that game to Pittsburgh, but they woke up on Tuesday like they won because you know what they got a chance to see? They got a chance to see the development. They got a chance to see the future, the glimpses, right? And now, obviously, he didn't play that well this week against the Ravens. Took his lumps. Obviously, he got bruised ribs. He's not going to play on Thursday. But Bears fans, if you ask them right now, they're not upset with Justin Fields playing, even though he's not playing well. Like, I'm not going to be honest with you, like, and say that he's not exactly playing well, but he's showing you the glimpses and he's going through the reps.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it does. It feels like you're winning games even when you're not. Just seeing them develop knows that you've got possibly a bright future ahead of you. And that's what you want to see. Twitter's fun sometimes, right? But it can also be a dumpster fire. You know that. Here's what I worry about, Jason. Trey doesn't play at all this year. He comes out. He looks like a rookie. All of these other guys, by the way, have now developed. They look a whole step ahead of them. People are going to melt down. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
That's my main concern. That's my main concern is that people are not going to give Trey that leeway because he didn't get all that. Like, people are gonna say, okay, you gotta hit the ground running week 1. Like, you immediately have to be that guy, and that's not fair. That is not fair at all, and it's not Trey's fault. It is not Trey's fault, because if those guys continue to develop, Mac's gonna get better next year. Justin's gonna get better next year. Trevor's gonna get better next year, and people are gonna say, well, look, you wasted all that, and now look, in year 2, no, he had never gotten meaningful reps, man. Like, and that's the thing, and I fear about that as well too, is that when they turn it over to him, people are not going to be reasonable, and that scares the hell out of me too. I promise you.
Yeah, it's why I've been trying to throw it out in the atmosphere. The end of 2023, we'll know, guys. The end of 2023, we'll know, because he's going to need that time. It's the way it is. The kid is 21. He's going to have now sat for 2 full seasons. Let's pump the brakes a little bit, right? Like, you have to set those expectations and make sure that we're holding people to it. But people are going to go crazy. That's fun. I can't wait for that. All right. Keys to the Vikings game and your early predictions. Nobody's going to hold you to it. You still have time to think about it. But as you think of the game now, what are your thoughts? What is your prediction?
The concern going into the last 2 games with the 49ers was their run defense, because for all intents and purposes, their pass defense, look, and everybody's worried about their secondary, is actually up at the top of the league. And a lot of the points that, Ritter at 1. No, people were saying that. No, people were saying that, like,
yeah.
Like the year ahead, like they were like, oh, Ritter's going to be the next guy next year, and he's benched. No.
Did I say Ritter? I meant Malik Willis. If I said Ritter, I meant Malik
you said
Willis
too, though. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
right. My concern going into the Rams game is, okay, can you stop the run? And everything becomes much more deadly off of play action. But for the last 2 weeks, the 49ers run defense has been very good. And I understand the Jaguars. I like James Robinson a lot. He's banged up. But they obviously couldn't they couldn't run the ball because they were already behind, right? So, like, game script has a lot to do with that. My concern in this game becomes, if the 49ers start to get gashed by Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins is allowed to get into play action. And my concern with this defense is less about the secondary and more about the pass rush. Nick Bosa can't do it all. And no disrespect to Arden Key, but I don't need Arden Key to be the second guy that people bring up behind Nick Bosa. That was not the plan. That's not the plan at all, right? Like, Arden Key's playing fine, but that should not be the case, okay? That's not, in my eyes, that's not a good thing. So my concern in this game becomes, are the 49ers able to impose okay.
There's another Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it
okay.
now. I get it, yeah.
Can the 49ers not impose their will? And do they find themselves in a game script that is not the same as the last 2 games? Kirk Cousins has thrown 2 interceptions this whole season. And for as much crap as everybody gives Kirk Cousins, man, the guy plays well with pressure in his face. You see that touchdown throw to Justin Jefferson? I know that it felt like, man, Jefferson's down there somewhere and he threw it up. But he sits there and he takes the hits. Kirk Cousins gets a lot of disrespect. And I don't think that's really fair. So it's not necessarily the secondary, because Warden's harder back and they're cleaning things up on their back end. And no disrespect to Hufanga either, right? It's just, you're a rookie. You're going through it. We saw it in the Arizona game. You kind of get beat on certain things. My concern is matchups. Like, I want Emmanuel Mosley to shadow Justin Jefferson, but I don't think that that's what the 49ers do. If Josh Norman has to spend a lot of time on Justin Jefferson, things are going to get hairy, especially if the pass rush can't get there. I'll tell you this, though. I think the 49ers win this game. I think that the 49ers are in a space right now that they are playing great defense. They have the formula. This isn't going to go the way that it's been going the last 2 weeks, though. So allow me to be the person who eventually, when we talk about it on Monday, I'm the bozo because the 49ers wind up blowing them out. But I'm going to say that this game is going to be super close. Yeah. And I think that the Vikings present challenges. They played the Packers as tough as the 49ers did. I understand that division mates and those games are naturally close like that. But if this pass rush can't get there and Kirk Cousins is allowed to sit back there and throw that ball, and Justin Jefferson gets matched up with Josh Norman, who I get that you like the forced fumbles, and thank God he's doing something correctly, because this man literally goes rogue in his assignments. And anybody who wants questions or has questions about that, even in that Rams game, I have examples to show you on film of him literally not communicating. And you saw it in the Colts game. Mo Alley Cox walks in on a touchdown. It's a simple pass off. Tart's telling him, pass off. He literally just runs to the offensive line. He literally runs to defend the rush, and it's a touchdown. It happened a bunch in the Rams game. If that's what's going to start happening in this game, things are going to get hairy. And that's what scares me. It's not that the secondary I'm worried about. I'm worried about individual matchups. I need Mosley to be over there on Justin Jefferson because he's more technically sound. And nothing against Adam Thielen, but I think Norman matches up against him much better because Adam Thielen wins with savvy, not necessarily freakish athletic ability, and Justin Jefferson runs better routes than Adam Thielen. He does. Better. Like he's just better. So that's it. But I think the 49ers win this game. I don't know the score. I know they're going to win this game. They probably win by like 4 or 3. Like it's going to be one of those games. But the 49ers have to play a clean game, and they can't mess around and turn the ball over in this game. So that's that was long-winded, but I hope I got to
that's good. I think it's great insight, and shout out to you, Jamal. I know you got your pod starting with Jasper.
Let's go.
That's awesome. We will definitely be tapping in for sure.
Let's go.
Looking forward to that. You've always supported myself. I know you support Jason.
Absolutely.
One of the better guys out there. So excited for that for sure. But yeah, so as far as keys to victory, I mean, they have to dominate the line of scrimmage, and you talked about it. You're worried about the defense getting home with Kirk Cousins. I agree with that. I mean, that's definitely a concern. The secondary's been okay, and Jimmy Ward makes it. He covers for a lot of things, and now that Tart's back, that's a win. But you're right. I mean, they have to get home on Kirk Cousins. But on the flip side of that, the best defense you can have is a ball control offense. So if they can come out and at least have that mentality that we're going to run it 40 times, even if you only get to 31 or 32 runs, but you come out with that we're going to bully you mentality, that's what they need to do again in this game. It's been a recipe for success. They're 3-0 when they run the ball 30 times this year. It's more about the mentality than it is the number, and that's what I want to see from the 49ers. Here's a couple stats for you. The Vikings give up 140 rushing yards per game on the road.
Run the ball.
Which is a very different stat than when they're at home. And at home, they only give up, I think it's like 19.6 points per game. But on the road, they give up almost 29 points per game. So this is a very different team. The Vikings are good. They're obviously in a very similar situation with the 49ers where they're fighting for that last spot. But this team is not unstoppable for sure. They can be beat. And I think the 49ers definitely can impose their will. They can come out of this with a victory. I'll give an early score prediction. I will say 30-27 Niners, but I think, again, it's going to be very close. You're absolutely right about that. And I'm looking forward to it. But this is this right here, again, not a must-win game, Jason, but oh my gosh, how important is this game at this time? It's incredible.
If there's a way to have a playoff game in the regular season, this is it.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good way to put it, because you're right. Both of these teams are fighting for a final playoff spot. They're going to fight like it's a playoff game. It's going to feel like a playoff game. You're going to get the best of the Vikings and the best of the 49ers. I think this is the week where, win or lose, we're really going to figure out who the 49ers are, because up to this point, they started out so bad. Now they've put together a couple wins. It feels like they've completely turned it around. We're going to know after this game. Win or lose, we are going to know who the San Francisco 49ers are for the 2021 season. And that is something we should be excited about.
Absolutely. And you'll know what to expect going forward. You can temper your expectations in terms of, hey, can this team make a run, or are they just a playoff team who is just happy to be there? And there's plenty of those teams. And the goal is to get into the tournament. That's always the goal. Obviously you don't know what's going to happen, but it should always be the goal to be in the tournament. You can't hate from outside of the club. Like, that's it. Like, I don't want to hear any more about, like, hey, the Rams haven't won a title, whatever. They're in the playoffs every single year, man. Like, that's it. Like, that's the goal. That's the goal. Get in there and then make your move.
Yeah, and that's been stuck in my craw a little bit as well with the way that 49er fans have been acting as if this team has just been so good. You're talking all this crap about these other teams. Oh, this is your last year. No, these teams are trying to win. Now it looks like the 49ers are approaching that. That's fantastic, but you can't. You're right. You can't talk bad when you're sitting outside the club. It's just not the way it works. So
that's it.
I'm with you. All right, brother. Listen, this was fantastic. I'm going to do the call-in show, but before you go, why don't you go ahead and plug all the things that you want to plug And just know, for anybody that is listening, down in the description on YouTube, you can find everything Jason is talking about. But Jason, go ahead.
Jesse, thank you, man. This was well overdue. This was a ton of fun, man. I don't know why we didn't make this happen before, and we need to do this way more often. I'm happy that I was able to tap in. I'm sad that I wasn't able to go to Jacksonville. Unfortunately, I've been trying to be, I guess, fair, because Averly's mom has to watch her while I'm gone, and I've gone to a ton of games, and this one didn't line up for me, man. And it was the closest one. It's so crazy, right? Like, it was like the one that's like the closest one. Like, I'm going to Cali and all these other games, and it's like the one that's like literally like a 2.5 hour flight. But appreciate you for having me on, man. This is a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Follow me on Twitter at Jason Aponte 2103, where you find right there. Jason Aponte on YouTube, Sprint Right Option Podcast with my guy Andrew Pasquini. Also, anybody who's on here and knows Andrew, go make sure you wish that man a happy birthday.
It's his birthday.
He is severely the most underrated guy on 49ers Twitter. Show my guys some love. And man, you know where to catch me on everybody else. Oh, there we go. Chris, what's happening? Yeah, man. Shout out to Culture Kings from Australia. I know you didn't cut the check, but if everybody wants to know like where I got it from, that's where I was able to grab it. But yeah, anywhere that you find me, you can find me on Twitter, sending stupid memes at times, some good stats here and there or whatever. But yeah, Jesse, this was a lot of fun, man. And I'm glad that you had me on. And like I said, long overdue, and we got to do it again, man.
Yeah, we'll do it again shortly, brother. I really appreciate it. It would have been cool to meet up with you in Jacksonville. But I was talking with Nick from Nothing But Niners. We're talking about some games next year. I know that you guys talk as well. So we'll try to make something happen for sure. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm not done traveling either, I don't think. Let's just see how it lines up. Like, maybe that Seattle game is something where I make a move, or, that Texans game is kind of looking good. But I've kind of got my eyes on that LA game, man, the last week of the season. Man. Like, the flight right now from Newark, where I'm at in Jersey, over there is like $179. And that almost feels like stealing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's what
good.
I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's almost like, man, I don't know, man. That's almost too good to pass up. So.
Yeah, I feel it. Everybody go subscribe to Jason. If you're not already, I got to imagine that you are. But if you are not, make sure you tap in with him. One of the better guys out there for sure. Jason, thank you so much for tonight. Have a happy Thanksgiving, brother. I think that would be remiss. We got Thanksgiving. We're 2 days away from Thanksgiving. I know we got a game on Sunday, but be thankful for a lot. I'm thankful for you, Jason. You're one of the better content creators. I'm thankful for all the content creators who have laid this path for me. So be thankful. Hug and kiss your family. Have a happy Thanksgiving, Jason. And I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro. And thank you for the kind words. And yeah, please hug your family and enjoy this time. There's so many people that would love to do that and they can't right now. And especially coming off of what we just came off of, that was something that I tried to talk about on the podcast. Please enjoy your time with your family and value it and enjoy it, because every moment, nothing else is ever laid out for you later on. Like, you have to enjoy moment to moment. So
absolutely, brother. You have a good night. All right.
You too, man.
Later, man. Later. All right, let me get this overlay going. I got a couple people waiting. We're going to go to Korean 49er. Then we're going to go to Bay. What's up, Bay? It's been a while since we talked. I tried to call you back the other day. Hopefully you got things figured out. If not, you can ask me here. But we'll get it going. That was fun. Jason and I, we've tried to link up in the past. Nothing really worked out. I'm glad that we were able to get that nailed down today, because Jason is one of my favorite content creators. Very happy to have him on the show. Hopefully we can do it more often. And I know that he's some of your guys' favorite as well. So that was a lot of fun for sure. But before we move on to Korean 49er, I just want to say, you should see a new logo down there. There's a Patreon logo. It should be pinned in the chat. If you have not checked it out, go check out the new Patreon that I started. It's all 49ers content. Obviously, here at Last Second Sports, we do all football content, all sports content, really, mostly football. But I want to dedicate some things just to 49ers, all me, on the Patreon account. So check that out if you have not done so already. And let's just get to these calls, man. We got a big game coming up. We got Thanksgiving coming up. Let's knock these bad boys out. Korean 49er, Bay Area baller. Then we're going to go to you, Viet. What's up, my guy? How are you?
I'm good, Jesse. How are you?
I'm doing really good, man. Glad that we got back on track. First caller. This is good. This is where we need to be. But thanks for calling in, man. How you been?
A little bit of a cold I'm fighting off, but outside of that, not too bad. So I'm at my brother's house, so if you hear any weird noises, I'm in his theater room, so he's got the furnace room next to the theater room. So
Oh, no, I think you're good.
okay. Nice to get the 2 wins against the Rams and Jaguars.
Yes.
But if they need to play like that every game throughout until the end of the season, because if they don't do that, I don't think they have much of a chance to win. At least to go on a long streak, we'll just say that. Winning streak.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of crazy though, right? Like we're in a completely different scenario now than what we were in just a couple short weeks ago. I mean, again, we were talking about the season being over. We were talking about Trey Lance playing. Now we're talking about not only playoffs, but wow, if this team can get hot, what type of run can they make? So it feels good to be on this side of things for sure.
Yeah, my concern is just concentrate on the Vikings, find a way to win the game by hook or crook, and go from there because you never know. If they go up to Seattle and they lose, I kind of expect that because they rarely beat the Seattle. So get the wins in the bank and then go from there. Got a question for you about Deebo.
Okay.
Let's say the front office wants to try and extend him in the offseason because I think he's a second round pick, and I think after the third season they could try to extend him from there. What if Deebo asks for a value like $20 million a year? What do you do?
Man, well, they're going to have to pay him. I mean, I've thrown out the scenario, what if they can trade him for a first or a first and a third or something like that? I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, me personally, listen, this is a bit of a Madden mind. I understand it. Deebo's my favorite player on the team. Said it before, right across the room is a signature of Deebo that I just picked up a few weeks ago. Deebo is amazing. But if it's me and I've got any opportunity, I'm going all in on Davante Adams, and then I'm trying to get something for Deebo, right? Again, that's a bit of a Madden mentality, but that's what I would at least try to do. That being said, I said it when talking with Jason, Deebo is an incredible football player, and he's the right type of football player that you want on your team. He's not a diva of any kind. He's not afraid to get dirty. He loves playing football outright, and he's, a leader by example. So for me, Deebo is extremely important to this team. They're going to figure out a way to sign him. There's no way, in my opinion, that they let him walk or even float around trades, because once that gets out there, can you imagine maybe some of the players on this team, what they start to think? Wow, Buckner, now Deebo, like this is what we do around here. So I don't see it happening, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just don't want to hear some kind of astronomical number and then the 49ers aren't, they kind of do what they normally do and say, we appreciate you throwing us an offer, but we're not going to keep you because of that. So
yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of money, and it's going to be a lot of money. It's just the way that it is. So
yeah. Do you see Trey Sermon getting more run from this from the Jaguars game on? Because I understand Elijah Mitchell may be healing up a little bit faster than expected, but I don't want to see Elijah taking 30 carries a game and taking a beating when he doesn't necessarily have to.
Yeah, I don't, because I think that it's going to be Jeff Wilson. I mean, to me, Sermon looked more explosive than Wilson. He looked like the better player at this point than Wilson. And I think Wilson is a really good football player. He's the guy that I pegged is leading the 49ers this year in rushing yards. But since that injury, he doesn't look as explosive as what he did. So to me, I would play Sermon more, but I think the 49ers will not do that. I wouldn't be shocked if he got 0 carries this week if Mitchell does play.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? Do you think he will play more? Do you think he should play more? Oh, I think we lost you, Korean 49er. You're frozen on the screen below. Going once, going twice.
I'm here.
Back?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got you.
Sorry about that. I'm not close to the router, so.
No, you're good. You're good.
So I feel that the 49ers will win the game against Minnesota, but they have to not commit any turnovers.
For sure.
That's my key to the game. So I sense a 27 to like 24 kind of game.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough, right? Like I mean, I wouldn't have thought it against the Rams either, right? But I really can't picture a scenario where this game ends up in a blowout. Both these teams have so much to play for. I've got to imagine that this is going to be a dogfight, and I'm looking forward to it. We're literally about to find out what the 49ers are made of this season, who they are, and what they're going to be going forward. So I'm excited to figure out the answers to all those questions that I know we've had all season.
Yeah, should be an interesting game. So thank you, Jesse, for taking my call.
All right, brother. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and hopefully the 49ers can pull it out on Sunday.
You too, Jesse. Thank you.
All right, man. All right. I'm going to go to my guy, Bay Area Baller. It's been a while since we've talked, brother. What is up?
What up, Jay? Hey, that was a phenomenal show that you had with Aponte. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Shout out to E. Kim. E. Kim's the man.
He is. He always, listen, Bay, he always starts us out. Since I've been doing the show, the call-in show, which, this is probably, I don't know, let's say the 15th one. He's always been the first caller. Last week, Bay, he wasn't the first caller. He was like the fourth guy to make it in. It was kind of crazy. You did not start it out with him. So I'm glad we could get back on track tonight.
Of course. Yeah, I like that. And what I like even more, Jay, is it feels like the Niners and Kyle Shanahan, we found our identity or got back to the identity that I thought we were going to have coming into the year, right? And this is the ground and pound, make it third and short, third and manageable, right? Because when Jimmy's facing 3rd and 10 and he's in the gun, that's not when he's at his best. But hey, shout out to you, man, because we did our preseason NFC West picks, and you had the Cardinals up top, and I was thinking that Cardinals, Cliff King. But hey, kudos to you. You were on it. And, I had the Niners, as an optimist, I had the Niners in first place. But this is the team and how we're playing out was what I expected coming into the year. And let's talk about that Jacksonville Jaguars matchup. No turnovers. And what I think I like even more than the 0 turnovers is only 1 flag against us. Right?
Yeah.
We played clean football because it felt like we've gotten some, a lot of flags on us.
Yeah. No turnovers. No, we had 1 flag, technically 2 because 1 was an offsetting, but they had 2 penalties on the play and we had 1. But really, that's a clean game.
Yeah, it was really clean. So I was really happy with that performance. I mean, Deebo and Ayuk looked electric. Bosa in the post-game presser, Bosa's like, yeah, I'm just playing mind games with the offensive lineman. Like, he's playing mind games out there. Bosa is on another level. He's got, because you have to respect his outside rush, right? He's got the threat to beat you off the edge and turn the corner. And then so when he has that counter, Jesse, with that inside move, I mean, It's phenomenal. I mean, tackles can't gear up for it. And then you add in the bull rush. It's like Bosa's got so many different ways that he can beat these offensive linemen. I mean, he's a sick pass rusher. And you and Jay were talking about my boy Arden Key. I mean, choo.
Dude, toot your own horn on that.
I've been conducting the Arden Key train since we signed him. I was like, man, this guy's got some burst. I think he's just a pure pass rusher than Ibukam. Ibukam, maybe a little more versatile, right? But as a pure pass rusher, I like Key. I always thought he had some moves. But yeah, I'm liking where we're at because during that 4-game losing streak, as the faithful, it was hard to keep the faith, Jay. It was hard.
It was.
You know what I mean? And
it was tough.
So let's assess where we're at right now. We got the 5 wins, right? But here's the thing, Jay. 4 of them are against bad teams, in my opinion. I mean, the Eagles, maybe they're not bad, but, the Lions, Eagles, Bears, the Rams. I mean, we got the Rams number, but they're a good team. Don't take nothing away. We beat the Rams and the Jags. I mean, the Jags completely beat themselves with those penalties and Urban Meyer. You think he's one and done?
I do. You know what? I paid a lot of attention to him on the sideline. I was sitting next to my buddy who was a Jags fan, and he kept pointing out, he's like, just watch Urban Meyer throughout this game. No interest. The play's going on. He's not even paying attention. It was bad, Bay. It was really bad. I think he's out.
He's a fraud, dude. He's a fraud. Urban Fraud Meyer. I got that from,
he is.
I can't take that one. I got that one from Middlecoff.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Okay, he
yeah.
is a fraud. He is a fraud.
Yeah, the dude's a fraud. But and you and Jay were touching on it. This is a big game coming up. It feels like a
Huge.
playoff game. This game is going to tell us whether we're contenders or pretenders. That's how
Yeah.
it feels, right? Because we're playing a good team. I know we dominated them in the playoffs in 2019, but I've always liked Mike Zimmer. I thought Mike Zimmer, he's a good defensive mind. I don't think he's going to allow the 49ers to beat them the same way. Just by, because Jimmy threw the pick. I was at that game at Levi's. Jimmy threw the pick to Kendricks, and then we were running the ball the rest of the day.
Yeah, and he almost threw a few of them that game, right? If I remember correctly, there was a few that
Kyle
game. If he had thrown those picks, would have been completely different at halftime.
Yeah, and then we pounded the rock with Raheem, and so I don't think Zimmer is going to let us beat him the same way. He might, we might be able to pound the rock on him, but I've always respected him. What I like about Zimmer, man, he was the first one I seen using the nickel double A gap where you're muddying up. You got the two linebackers like right over the center, and it's like you don't know who's coming in.
And Saleh stole that too. He started to use that a ton.
All the defensive coordinators stole it. I mean, everyone's kind of got that package where they're like the nickel double A gap. At least that's what it is in Madden.
Yeah.
But hey, let me tell you, this game coming up, I think it's going to be a tough one. Are we contenders? Are we pretenders? And Jay, I'm gonna go ahead and give you my prediction. I'm thinking it's going to be a tight one. I think it's going to be a close one. And I'm going to say 27-24 Vikings.
Okay. Wow, Vikings. Okay. Man.
Just to be the contrarian, because you know what? I've always kind of, Niners are my squad. I hope the Niners win, of course. That's my team. But,
of course.
But just, with Dalvin Cook being able to, I think Dalvin Cook is just such a phenomenal runner of the football. I mean, he can make you miss in a phone booth. Like his jukes, they're not the most exaggerated. Like they're quick, but he's just so sudden and so shifty. I love Dalvin Cook. I mean, Justin Jefferson, that dude's phenomenal. And I mean, not only in football, dude, this guy's just an athlete, everything. I've seen him yamming basketballs in the offseason. I mean, he's just a sick athlete, Jefferson.
Yeah, he is. Let me give you some optimism, though, before you leave. So I don't know why his name's slipping on me, but they have a really good defensive tackle over there. He's around 330 pounds
for
Tomlinson?
The Vikings. No.
I think that might be it. Anyways, he's out with COVID. So the guy replacing him only weighs around 280. So now all of a sudden that middle might be wide open for the 49ers to do their thing. And at the very least, bring everybody to the line and use some of that play action and whatnot. So I think that this might bode really well for the 49ers. Timing is everything. Losing a player that big that can clog up the middle and really take up two gaps at times is going to be a big miss for the Vikings. So I think that the 49ers might be able to dominate a little bit because of that. What do you think?
I hope so. And I haven't, checked out like the injury report for the Vikings. I don't know if Danielle Hunter I don't know if he's active, but he's
I think.
Oh, really? Yeah. See,
I think he's a
player when he's on the field. I know he's got a bad back. I think Pat Pete, which he's not the Pat Pete we remember, but I think he came back. I think he came back last week.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this goes, but the defense. Are we going to be able to keep that Vikings offense in check? I think that's the matchup. Because if the Vikings put up 30 points, I don't think we're going to keep up with that type of scoring.
Yeah, I agree. That's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. The Vikings are a little bit different team on the road, though, than they are at home. They themselves give up nearly 29 points per game on the road as opposed to almost 20 at home. So that's a big difference. And then 140 yards average on the road that they give up compared to around 115 at home. So they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde a little bit as far as a home versus a road team. So I'm hoping that plays in the 49ers' favor. Unfortunately, Levi Stadium has been a place of nightmares up until that Rams game. So hopefully they've turned a corner themselves in the 49ers.
Hey, I hope so too, Jay. And I'm fired up because it does feel like we got that momentum, but this is a big game. We got to get this win. And thanks for taking my call. I'm going to shout out to the audience, Bay Area Baller 18 on YouTube. Jay, you've came on. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to putting out some content here soon. I'll hit you up because I got a question. I know how to do what I would like to do, but you might have a way I can streamline it, a more efficient way. That's what I was going to ask you. So I'll touch base with you here soon.
Yeah, do it for sure. And make sure you go subscribe to him. Bay Area Baller 18. A lot of people were giving you love in the chat. They're like, wow, this guy sounds like an announcer. Yeah, listen, he's awesome. He always brings hella energy. That's what I love about Bay. Out of everybody, the one thing that he brings, I think, differently than any other content creator in this space is he just has that natural energy, and it's always turned on. Like, it's never off for Bay Area Baller. So he will always bring that. And he was the one guy that was all about Arden Key in the offseason. He's got film breakdown to prove it. So again, I know it wasn't ideal. Aponte, talked about that, touched on that. It's not ideal that he was a second pass rusher. Well, Bay Area Baller kind of said that might be the case. So he was way out in front of that. So go check him out if you are not already. Bay, you have a very happy Thanksgiving, my guy.
Same to you. I'll talk to you soon, Jay.
All right, brother. All right, we're going to go to Viet, then Kevin, then Melissa. What's up, Viet? How are you?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing real good. I got to go to the Jacksonville game. The 49ers blew them out. It was absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I got to say I'm doing good.
I know. I got Deebo on my back.
You do have Deebo on your back. I love it. I absolutely love it.
All right. I want to talk about a run game because, like Bay Area Baller said, our identity is back. Essentially, I mean, we're running the ball, and what I like is that they've been committing to the run. Like Kyle said, we were looking to run 40 times, and then in the Jacksonville game, it looked like there were. I don't know if it was the same number, but it was up there in the run attempts. Now, the run, the runs have been working.
Yes, that's true.
And so that allows Kyle to open up his bag of tricks. I feel like when the run game doesn't work, is he going to commit to that? Because last year he kind of bailed on it, especially in that Seattle game when we weren't down that much, but he kind of bailed on the run game. Like that play that Jimmy got hurt is still in my mind. 3rd and 2. I'm like, run the goddamn ball. And he throws it and Jimmy gets hurt. And we weren't behind that much. So what I'm worried about, like what I want to see in this game is that we're going to commit to the run, even if it doesn't work. Because I think this is one of those games where both run games get shut down, and it comes down to Jimmy and Cousins.
Well, I don't like that if it comes down to Jimmy and Cousins, because I think Cousins is just a better player than Jimmy. And that, okay, yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, right? You got two teams that want to run. This happens often, right? You get two teams that play really good defense, and then it ends up being a shootout. Maybe that happens with these two teams. You got two teams that want to run the ball, two teams that can run the ball, and now it turns into Jimmy versus Kirk. I don't like our odds in that scenario, so I hope you're wrong about that.
Well, for me, it's okay if we get shut down, as long as we keep committing to that, because that's what creates the play action. Like it's not the yards that you get; it's the threat of it that allows the linebackers to be honest. So if we're not running the ball well, hopefully we'll keep running the ball, because I don't mind 2 yards, 3 yards here, because it's going to eat up. Like we won that Eagles game because we kept getting a bunch of short 3-yard gains, and it just added up. We were just in this 3rd and short all the time, or 4th and short, and we were able to convert. So that's what I'm hoping for.
It was similar also in the Jaguars game. I mean, outside of Deebo breaking it, it was kind of like 2 yards, 3 yards here, whatever. That was kind of the way that game went. So yeah.
Yeah. So also it's kind of a little bit off topic of the game, but I was on Grant's show and he was talking about, because Bosa's playing like a beast right now.
Yeah,
and he's probably carrying our D line right now. And between him, Deebo, and Kittle, and our upcoming stars, I don't know if we're going to keep all of them. So if push comes to shove, like he said, well, the consensus is that keep Bosa, but if push comes to shove, I think trading Bosa might be the better option there, and keeping Deebo. It became down to him and Deebo.
Okay, so if it comes down to him and Deebo, I mean, you're going to get more for Bosa, right? I just think that, man, I mean, God, Bosa's so good, and it's a more premium position. So I want to lean towards keeping Bosa in that scenario. But Deebo, I feel like, is making more of an impact than even Bosa. Man, I don't know.
Here's my thing. I would get rid of Bosa because it's easier to sustain success through offense than defense. Look at the Legion, boom. They fell apart really quickly. It's really hard to sustain that level. Look at the Raiders. They traded Khalil Mack, and we all thought it was crazy. And they're still sustaining their success right now through their offense. I'm not saying we should, but I mean, we got to get something for him. But I feel like he's getting a sack a game, but that sack, like how much is that sack contributing to the overall impact of the game? Like, is it coming on a first down and it really doesn't matter, or is it coming on a crucial third down? I mean, that's something that I think we definitely got to look at. I also think sacks are a little bit overrated of a stat. His presence is way more important than the sacks that he gets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those pressures, the quarterback hits, that type of stuff is way bigger. Yes, I agree.
So yeah, that's all I wanted to ask you on about.
Yeah, here's what I'll say, and I caught a little bit of Grant talking about that. The thing is, and I think in his scenario, he was talking about Jimmy coming back, right? And so that's, he'll have to make a choice. Okay, first of all, Jimmy's not coming back, but let's live under that assumption for a minute that Jimmy comes back. Okay. What people have to understand is that Jimmy's contract will affect them next year. Extensions of Deebo and Bosa won't affect them until the year after, or even further, depending on how they restructure those contracts and add on to it. So really, they're not going to have to make a choice between the two because Jimmy is there next year. And the salary cap, not next year, but the year after, is supposed to skyrocket. So I think no problem if they want to keep both guys. They'll definitely be able to do it, but it is going to have to be a decision made because you're talking about two guys, both phenomenal players, right? No question about that. But on the flip side, they've had some injury history, and they are going to cost a lot of money. So I think they ultimately keep both. I think they can keep both, but those are things that they'll have to look at.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely want to keep both. Just because without Bosa, we wouldn't have anybody, and at least bring in. For me, it always comes down to like a rule of two. Like you got to have two guys at the line that would dominate. Otherwise, you really have none. Just because one guy is just wasting away his career. Like J.J. Watts was there in Houston for a while. Yeah, and it was just him. And then once in a while, they'll bring in other people that could help out. But for the most part, all the money was there, and they couldn't really produce on the offensive side until like Deshaun Watson came along for that second one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And players definitely can rot away. And right now, it is an offensive-driven league, so I think you make some good points.
Yeah, the refs are. I mean, I'm not saying that they're paid, but they're programmed to assist the offense more than the defense.
Bro, they're absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's just the way that it is. The league's completely different than what it used to be. Yeah, you're right about that. You're absolutely right.
So, score prediction, I'm going to go with a weird number. It's going to be both teams are going to go below 20. Niners 19 to 16.
I like it. I like it. That's bold. I like it. All right, Viet. Hey, thank you so much for calling in, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and we'll talk next week. All right.
Thank you.
All right, man. Later. All right, we're gonna go to Kevin next. Kevin is someone that called in last week. Let me know where all this stuff was going to be in Jacksonville was able to meet him. So that was pretty cool. Kevin, what's going on, my guy?
What's going on, my man?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. We're like back in South Carolina. We got back yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
Man, it was good seeing you. Good seeing Nick. Good seeing all the 49er faithful in Jacksonville. It was a complete takeover, man. From Friday.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
From Friday through Sunday. Fantastic.
The march, man, that right there was probably my favorite part, man, when we all met up pregame, had some pops, and then all marched to the game. I mean, there was like 1,000 of us strong, flooding the streets, stopping traffic. It set the tone. You're absolutely right. That was fantastic.
Set the tone, man. And the Jacksonville fans were real cool. They was on the side. It was a few of them on the side while we was watching.
Yeah.
They couldn't do nothing. You know what I mean? They were like,
what
wow.
Are they gonna do? Yeah.
They never seen nothing like that. You know what I mean?
No, they really hadn't. And also, I mean, let's be fair. Like, I think 49er fans were very respectful. Obviously, we were proud to represent the 49ers, but There was a lot of respect from our side of things. And every Jaguar fan that I ran across was pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Very respectful.
So what are your thoughts on this weekend, man? Like, obviously this is different, right? They're coming off that Jacksonville game. That was fantastic. They did what good teams are supposed to do. So that gives me an encouraging thought that maybe the 49ers are a good team. They blew out a team they should. What are your thoughts on this weekend? How are you feeling about it?
This is the team, man. Jesse, this is the team that I thought. Well, this is the team that I was hoping for.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season. This is what I was hoping for. Run first team. Control the clock. Just beat the team up. I don't care if you're getting 3.3 yards a carry. Just beat them up.
Yeah. Yep.
Run it. Control the clock. And, don't allow Jimmy to throw more than 20, 22, 25 passes.
Yeah.
And just control the game. If you really watch the past couple weeks, the past couple weeks is like 49er football.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gets the defense and everybody ready. When those guys came out in pregame and Jeff Wilson and them came to the corner, it's like this is a whole different team, man. It's like they got another energy right now.
They do. They do.
They got a whole nother energy, and I'm actually loving what I'm seeing. I told my wife prior to the Rams game, I said, I think we about to go on a run. I don't know what I was feeling. But
you were feeling something a little bit different than I think the rest of us were. That's all right.
I said, I think we were about to go on a run. I missed the Rams score by like 3.
Damn.
That's
impressive, man.
My wife got this Jacksonville score in like some group. I think it's maybe the not the Facebook group.
Okay.
My wife predicted 30-10.
Okay, that's impressive.
And she won.
That's awesome.
But I told her prior to the Rams game, I said something gonna change, and I think we about to go on a run. And it's a whole different team. It's a whole different vibe, not just with the players, but the fans. You can feel the energy from the players. You can look at the players. It's a whole nother energy on that whole team right now.
Yeah, it is.
Jimmy,
really is.
Even Jimmy is bouncing around.
He is.
He looks happy, and I'm like, this is a whole completely different team.
Yeah, they're playing free, right? Like they really do. They're playing loose. It was cool. Like again, I haven't been to any other game, so I can't say that if this was or wasn't there. But watching them feed off the energy of the crowd pre-game, going to each corner, pumping people up. It was cool to see. It was really cool to see. And everybody, every member on the team was a part of the process. It was cool to see.
Every member. I mean, even like people like I was watching everybody in like pregame. Yeah. As they was coming out of the tunnel and everything. Even people like Ambry Thomas, you were looking at them, this coming out. They had another energy.
They did.
It's like the whole team had another energy. You know what I mean? And people can complain about, oh, Jeff Wilson only had 2.6 yards per carry. Trey Sermon only had 3.2 yards per carry. It was still a complete dominance.
It's the
Those were tough
mentality,
yards.
Kevin.
Those were tough yards, man.
Yeah. It's the mentality for me. It really is. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with, for me, like that 30 carry number is where you want to be. It's Kyle
Yeah.
said that's where you want to be, but it's not that. It's the mentality, right?
It's
if you
the
get
mentality.
to 28, that's fine. But if your goal coming out was, hey, we are going to run the ball come hell or high water, that's what I want to see. Impose your will. Punch first. Don't react. Like, go out and do your thing. And they did it versus the
Exactly.
Rams. They didn't do it versus the Cardinals when they saw six-man fronts.
Exactly.
When they saw six-man fronts against the Rams, no problem. They were running against those. They had a mentality. And it's again, if you're in a fist fight, you don't want to be the one that throws second. You've got to hit first. And that's what I feel like they're doing finally. Yes.
And that's what they're doing. Like people, I think people get caught up in the yards per carry thing. No, it's like you said, it's the mentality. It's like, okay, I only got 3 yards. Okay, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna hit you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the mentality that I was seeing the other day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when you got somebody like Deebo, man, that's my boy from South Carolina. I'm from South Carolina. Deebo is representing. Deebo is a beast.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know if it was you or it was somebody. I don't know if this team would be where we are right now without Deebo.
No.
Deebo Samuel is a beast, man.
He is.
Deebo he got a certain confidence about him right now. He's not loud with it. He don't talk a lot of trash, but when he scores, Deebo just walk back like, stop me. You know what I mean? And it generates throughout the whole team, man.
It does. It really does. It really does. Before I let you go, Kevin, two quick questions.
Okay.
1, what's your score prediction? And 2, what's your go-to side dish at Thanksgiving?
My score prediction is 27-13 49ers.
I like it. Okay.
I'm not scared of the Vikings, but I don't think the 49ers scared of the Vikings. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try to knock Kirk Cousins a couple times early. Because once you hit him a couple times, he gets kind of scared.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think they got to try to get to him early. I don't care how you got to do it. Just whatever you got to try to do to get to Kirk Cousins, just try to do it. And I think we're going to try to do them like we did them in the playoffs.
They're going to have to. Because, Viet's brought it up before. He goes, if this turns out into a Jimmy versus Kirk game, I don't like that one because Kirk is a better player than Jimmy.
No, we cannot get in that kind of battle. We can't get in that kind of battle.
Right. So what's the go-to side dish Thanksgiving? We're 2 days away.
Yo, if they don't have stuffing, man, it ain't the same.
I feel it.
Stuffing and gravy,
but it's got to be
man.
the good stuffing, right? Like it can't be crappy.
Yeah, I mean, the box is all right, but if you can make some homemade stuffing, man, with some gravy, that goes good with any meal, man.
I like it.
You know what I mean?
All right, we know what you're looking forward to.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, we are going to be in LA. We flying out to LA Thursday. Just got back from Jacksonville. We flying to LA Thursday. So our daughter's she's having her first baby, so she's gonna have her baby shower in over there in like San Bernardino. So we flying out Thursday. So we're gonna be spending Thanksgiving in San Bernardino. Spend 5 days there.
That's good.
You know what I mean? But
that's good.
So my brother-in-law is a Steelers fan, so we're gonna be at his house.
Try to talk him into Jimmy G for next year.
Yeah.
See what his thoughts are. Actually, when you call in next week or the time, whenever you can call in next,
I'm calling back in next Tuesday when you do the show.
Okay. So talk to him about Jimmy G and just report back with what he thought. Okay. That's my only ask.
All right. And
All right,
I just want to say, man, it was nice seeing you. Yo, man, when you talk to Nick,
yeah.
tell Nick from Nothing But Niners, it was glad seeing him. Before I go, I just want my wife just to say hey.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good seeing her too.
My wife
Hey,
just to say
Melissa,
hey.
just heads up, I'm coming to you next, then Chris.
Just say hey, baby. Not on camera, Ruth.
She's like, I'm not on camera.
She's not on camera. Okay,
she's funny.
She was like, I think she thought she was gonna be on camera on TV for everybody.
No, she's not. She's good.
Okay,
Well,
well,
tell her I
man,
said hi. It was nice meeting her as well.
absolutely, man. And like I said, go 49ers. I think we're gonna be on the run. People trying to shoot for that last 7 spot. I'm not even looking for the 7, man. I think we're gonna be somewhere higher than that.
I hope so. I think that 6th spot is a realistic thing right now, and they got an outside shot at 5, so we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, man. Jesse,
all right, brother.
Thank you for continue to bring the content and all the people who calling
Absolutely.
in and all the people in the chat. Y'all have a wonderful night, man.
You too, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Melissa, we're coming to you. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to hear from you. What's on your mind?
I finally have my voice back, so I got to call in.
There you go. I like it. What happened to your voice?
It's been getting colder in New Jersey, and that mixed in with me kind of being a screaming maniac for the last 2 wins. I scared the Jesus out of my Yorkie the other night. I had to give him like a pound of ham to shut him up because he was shaking like a leaf, but that's neither here nor there.
I love it. That's a real fan right there. I love it.
I wanted to call in and first say happy Thanksgiving to you and to everybody else in the chat.
Yeah,
this is one of my favorite pods, and I'm very thankful for it.
Thank you.
Secondly, I want to say Jawan Jennings had a monster game on top of a monster game. Like the last 2 weeks, he's really come into his own. And as a huge fan of his, I'm really happy that he's balling out and getting kind of some respect from everybody because they were all in love with Jalen Hurd or other receivers this offseason. And we're saying he should be the cut or the practice guy. And he's really stepping up.
Yeah, he is. His blocking numbers were massive. Whatever you look at, whether it's PFF or whatever, everywhere graded him one of the highest receivers, if not the highest receiver this week. That's massive. In a Kyle Shanahan offense, if you can be a good blocker, it's one of those things that may not show up on a stat sheet, but he's doing an incredible job there. And then the way he held his cool also when he got punched and took that penalty, for a young kid, seriously, that's a big deal. Like, most young kids don't have composure like that. So I love it.
You know what I loved about that the most, though, was like the slow, like they rewind it and they went back to the fight and they like sped it up and they kept like doing it like 3 or 4 times. And then you saw the in fast motion him going to the sideline and he has like this big smile on his face and like all his teammates are trying to like come and like slap him on the shoulder or something. And he goes right to Kyle and Kyle like just like elbows him and says, "Good job, kid."
Yeah. It's funny. Even there was a still frame of him right when they got face to face, and this was right before he got hit, and he knew it was coming. He had a shit-eating grin on his face the whole time. It's like he knew what he was doing.
It was like, did you see that thing? I think it was on 49 Hours or something when Jeff Wilson came back and it was him and Fred in the middle of the thing and they're going like at each other and Jeff Wilson keeps just like bumping up against him. And everyone was like, see, that's Jeff when he's in the dark place. And that's like, you see in the dark place. I'm like, yo, Jawan Jennings has that dark place, but he has it like under control.
Yeah, he really does. You think about it, right? We just talked about a young kid having it under control. Norman didn't have it under control a couple of weeks ago against Arizona, right? So it's hard to have that. You're in the heat of battle. Your adrenaline's going. Age aside, it's hard to control yourself in those scenarios. So kudos to him for doing that.
But it's crazy because, like, I live in Jersey, right? And most people see us as like a bunch of psychopaths, but You have Kadarius Toney, and he's like always fighting everybody. Like he just came into the league this year, and he's fighting everybody.
Yeah.
You have DK Metcalf, who gets into this huge fight when they get shut out, and then tries to sneak back in the very next play into the huddle. Like only the Seahawks would like try something that shitty and think they could get away with it. And like Romo and everybody's up in the like announcing box laughing about how, well, if you were any other size, he'd get away with it because he's so big he can't get away with it. Like I'm like, no, you know what? Everyone's like, we should have gotten DK. I'm so grateful. Like that was like the last linchpin. Like I hope everyone stops saying that we should have gotten DK Metcalf in the draft. Because Deebo
DK is talented.
So much better than him.
Like, it's the mentality too, Melissa. Like that's the one thing, right? Like Deebo they're like the exact opposite of each other. They're antithesis of each other because Deebo is a football player. He's looking for that contact. He isn't a diva. If he doesn't get the ball, he doesn't care. He's going to block. He's going to do what he has to do. And then you've got DK, who really fits that wide receiver mold, right? Where, hey, if I'm not getting the ball, I'm going to throw a fit and I'm going to try to start fights when we're losing. Like, I don't want that on my team, right?
I love the passion. If he's not like AJ Brown being called the great next receiver. And
Yeah. I love the passion, right? But it's misdirected. It's just misdirected passion. And Deebo has found a way to take that passion and hone it in the right areas. And I love him for it.
And the low-key great thing was somebody on Twitter, I know, that pointed out that it was hardcore that Deebo and Ayuk had the press conference together. Is like low-key, like really important leadership. Like, this is my dude, this is my brother, I got his back, and we're gonna do this together. It wasn't like the Smith brothers where it was like kind of kitschy and cute, where they're like two different defenders who came to Green Bay and are doing the press conferences because they're the Smith brothers. But it was just no, he's kind of quiet, I'm kind of all around fun guy, but both really are serious, and we're gonna have each other's back in this presser, and we're not gonna let either one of us get stepped on. And I thought it was really awesome that all three Yak brothers, because that's what they call themselves, had touchdowns in this game, because like all three of them got roasted this offseason and into the season. Like Deebo was, let's ship him off because he can't handle his weight. He can't stay healthy. He can't do this. He can't do that. We hear that all summer. Like, this is a wasted pick. And they kept going to like AJ and DK and all the other guys that we should have gotten, or N'Keal Harry or whoever. And then Brandy got in trouble with Shanahan, and that whole mess happened. And then George got all the hate on his birthday, and just everyone's calling him a bum. And then everything has kind of clicked since he's gotten back. And it's just like, so key, these guys all have each other's back, all are stepping up, trying to learn how to be leaders. And it was really nice to see all of them kind of, even if it was just Jacksonville, it was nice to see all of them kind of have their moment to shine and then celebrate together in the end zone for Brandon's touchdown.
Yeah, you're right. That was a good moment. And I think that was the press conference that you talked about. You know, everybody saw it, but I think that's a really good catch by you to talk about a leadership moment. You know, we talk about maybe a lack of leaders on this team. Well, that was one of those leadership moments that that we've kind of been craving.
I don't think we have a lack of leaders. I think we have a very different type of leadership this year. And I think that is the main reason why we've been up and down, because I've been thinking a lot about it. And I think Fred Warner, specifically, he's had D'Amico this whole time, right? Like, D'Amico was his dude. And then there was Saleh next, but like D'Amico was his dude that he could go to right away, and they could break anything down, and anything he struggled with, he had D'Amico. But now he has to share D'Amico with the whole defense. And on top of that, he had guys from 2018 when he came in to now who he could go to were vets. Like, he had a Jimmy Ward, he had a Tart, he had a Sherman, he had a Buckner, he had all the bigger names that could hold people down and be those vocal guys on the sideline, or Saleh who could buck people up and congratulate them. And Fred Warner never had to be the vocal guy. He could be the silent assassin on the field. He could be the guy that was the mic. He could get guys in the right position. He could be who he likes being comfortable being, right? The all-around badass, but not the vocal guy. And I think between losing D'Amico for himself and the linebackers and losing all those big guys that kind of took up the leadership and the roles he doesn't like being, and then you add in with Aziz and Dre missing games, I think that has a lot to do with what has held Fred Warner back this year, because he's making up all this big turf. He's trying to step up because everyone's been out or injured or has moved on. And then he's trying to do too much by playing all the metal himself. And I think it's just gotten to a point where he has to slow down and just let it be and just go back to what he's good at, which is his job, playing sideline to sideline and then shutting things down when it comes up the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree with that. Before I let you go, what is your score prediction on Sunday?
I wasn't exactly right last week. I think I said it was 28-17 and you said 27-17.
Yep.
So I
you were closer than I was.
I wasn't going to say that, but okay. I don't know. It's just, you know what it feels like? It feels like to me the Vikings are like the Bills or the Titans. Like they have these great games where you're like, this is someone scary that you should pay attention to. Right. And then they lose like a few key players, or they just come out really, really flat, like the Bills did against the Jaguars. And you're just like, I don't know if I should overlook this team or not. And yeah, it's Thanksgiving. I'm gonna say 24-13.
Okay, I like it.
And I think there's like either like 2 field goals or like a missed extra points for the Vikings, because the NFC North has like a curse when it comes to kicking. They really do. But this is really fun, and I just want to say thank you for everybody who supported your show and helped you kind of rebuild after what happened.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Melissa. Great call, as always. And I know we'll talk next Tuesday, of course, on Twitter as well.
One last thing, though. What's your favorite side? Oh,
sweet potatoes. Yeah, sweet potatoes. No question about it. That's the one that, like, I have a huge spot saved on my plate for, and then I go back for seconds. Sweet potatoes, no question about it.
You know, it's funny. I actually had a pre-Thanksgiving meal today.
I
don't know how many people have them near them, because I live on the East Coast in the North, so maybe it's just me.
Boston Market?
No, Wawa.
Oh.
And they have a sandwich called the Gobbler. So it's turkey, cranberries, stuffing, gravy, all together on a sandwich. It's about the most delicious thing in the world.
Oh my gosh, that does sound good. That's the one thing too about Thanksgiving. It's the after meals.
The leftovers.
Yes, it's the best. It's the best. That's funny. That's awesome. Melissa, have a great night. Happy Thanksgiving to you. We'll talk next week. All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right. I'm going to get to my guy, Roscoe's. Actually, Chris, a.k.a. Roscoe's. It wouldn't work the other way. I don't know why I started it out like that. Oh, hold on. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Excited for Thanksgiving. Excited to find out who the hell the Niners really are, Chris. I feel like this is the week that the 49ers fans figure out if this team's for real or not, and what this 2020 season is really all about.
I agree. This is the game where we'll find out if we are contenders or pretenders. So
yeah,
I'm
absolutely
excited for this game. But I called in because I wasn't even going to call in. I was just listening, doing my edits and stuff, and I was like, oh man, I had to address this. No matter what you do, you 9 out of 10 times you have to keep the pass rusher. I love Deebo. He's really good for this offense, but receivers are replaceable. If you look at receivers in college football, there are so many coming out year in and year out, and there's so many good ones. There's going to be good ones coming out this year. In 2023, there's going to be a lot coming out in 2023. You keep the pass rusher. The pass rusher affects the game. The pass rusher stops the quarterback, no matter what. Now, of course, you want the Niners to pay both. I remember folks was like, oh, how are you going to pay Fred Warner and Kittle and Trent Williams with Jimmy G salary? Well, we did it. At the end of the day, we did it. So I never try to, I know it's Grant's job to do that. But, as fans, I just think, look, the Niners are going to do what they do. I think they're going to pay their guys. And if they don't, we'll see what comes after that. And I also want to say this. I personally, I've heard this a couple of times now. I don't think Jeff Wilson looks slow or anything. He's been running hard the last 2 weeks. Again, we're playing the Jaguars and we're playing the Rams, and I believe both of them have very good run defenses. And I think the Niners, I think Jeff Wilson ran the ball as hard as possible. But, he ain't going to get the big yards right now. And I don't mind that. But Jeff Wilson looks just like he did last year. I mean, he's not going to run for 100 yards, 200 yards like he did against the Patriots. But trust me, Jeff Wilson is okay. Watch. Just watch.
So let me clarify something, because I did say that he looked like a step slow. I don't think athletically he looks slow. I agree with you there. He's just not seeing the field as well. If you go watch that film, there was multiple times, and I don't know if it was Baldy or somebody else broke it down also. He had some big spots that he could get through when he approached the line, and he just chose wrong both times. So I feel like it's just a game thing. I think that he normally runs the ball fine, but that's just something that when you haven't played all season and you're coming in halfway point in the season and everybody else has figured their shit out, it's going to take him some time to get caught up to that. And I think that's where I think he's playing slow because more of the mental side than the physical side.
I would say that's fair that he's not seeing the field. That's totally different. I 100% agree there. I just don't think he is running hard. Maybe not running the right way, but I definitely think he's running hard. And I also want to address this last thing. Look, I love Deebo Samuel. This dude has been our MVP, but I will not come on Al Gore's internet and say that he is way better than DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is the modern day T.O. He is built different. He is a beast. And right now, you see the Seahawks offense struggling. And see, this is why I go back. I'd rather keep the pass rusher. Look at this. The receiver is dependent on the quarterback. Right now, Russell's not playing good. But at the end of the day, when Russ is on, like if Russ gets back to his form, DK is dang near unguardable. The guy runs a 4.4, he's 6'3", 6'4", and he's built like Megatron. You just don't. It's hard to even stop him. So I would just say, we can calm down on that, But trust me, Deebo's the MVP of this team. Deebo's dominating. I love it. And that's all I want to come on to say. My favorite side dish is mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying? Mom's mac and cheese is the best. I'm sorry to all y'all parents out there. My mom makes better mac and cheese than y'all mom. She makes the better sweet potato pie than y'all mom. My mom's out here, top 5 chef in the world. I'm sorry. But yeah. All right, man. 24, I love it. 21. Go Niners.
All right, man. I'll talk to you on Twitter, man. Thank you. So yeah, I say it every week or whenever he calls in, but if you don't know Chris, he's the one that makes all of the thumbnails for this show. So whenever you see a dope thumbnail pop up, it's him that makes it. So there you go. All right, we're gonna get to Jeremy, then Randon, then Eric, then Chenille, and then I'm probably gonna wrap it up. I got some honey-do list things that I gotta do. Then I gotta be up early. So that's just the way that we're gonna roll tonight. So that's how we're gonna do. We probably got another 25 in us. So just stay tuned for that. If you have not subscribed already, make sure that you come over to YouTube. If you're watching on any other platform, you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you never miss an episode. Jeremy, I'm coming to you in a second, but hit that bell notification so you never miss an episode. And I have started a Patreon that is all 49ers. So again, at Last Second Sports, we do everything, but I want to give more 49er content to y'all. So I'm doing that through Patreon. It's also a foolproof way, just in case something happens to the YouTube channel again, to make sure that I've still got a stream, a way to bring in some content to y'all. So make sure you check that out. The link should be pinned in the chat. Jeremy, what is up, my guy? Are you there, Jeremy? All right, I'll go back to you, Jeremy. I'm going to go to Brandon. What's up, Brandon? How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I couldn't be better. Just got to go to the Jacksonville game, and Thanksgiving's around the corner. The 49ers got a big game on Sunday, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
Sound like a triple header W for you, man.
Yeah, definitely winning. Yes, absolutely.
How was the stadium? Like, how was the accoutrement for Jacksonville? Like, how did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was cool. Look, I mean, there's no beating around it. Jacksonville's a shithole, but the stadium was decent. The people were very, very nice. They were very respectful. Good conversation with those guys. They definitely treated us well. So no issues there. I had a good time. Good,
man. I just kind of wanted to talk about something maybe a little bit different in Kyle Shanahan and everything like that. And it seems in the Rams game, I think he used over 90% out of the shotgun. We've been seeing a lot more lately with his offense, and then utilizing Deebo in every single spot, putting running backs out at wide receiver, tight ends at fullback. He's just constantly changing the personnel groupings within these things. And then he's layering the offense. You saw in the Rams game, throwing jet sweeps, and then him running counters off the jet sweeps in the Jacksonville game. Do you think that Shanahan finally is molding the offense to benefit Jimmy G and his skill set? And is he starting to layer the offense to put more things on tape to confuse defensive coordinators? Sorry, that was a long question.
No, I think you're onto something there. I mean, obviously he's done a good job of changing things up. Maybe it doesn't necessarily. I don't know what fits Jimmy G's skill set best, right? But I would say that although play action is a staple of this offense, that Jimmy G turning his back always worries me because I feel like he does process pretty slow. So I think that more than likely it's better that he keeps his eyes on the defense. And Shanahan's done a pretty good job of this. He struggled early on in the season, but he does make good adjustments season to season. You look at some of the things that worked really well in 2019. He changed those in 2020, and he's evolved again in 2021. It just took longer than what I would have liked to see to get those things going for this season. But again, master play caller. That's something that I'll never take away from Kyle. And he's done a good job evolving again this year.
Yeah, I think it's been good. And, I like to give, credit where credit's due. Jimmy's been doing a lot of the good job, a lot of the timing routes the last 4 games. Yeah. It hasn't been consistent over his career, but the last 4 games he has, especially on that 4th and 7 against the Rams, timed in between 3 players, the touchdown to Ayuk, the 35-yard pass to Ayuk. So there's been a lot of good passes from him. And I just wonder if that's being that it's more shotgun, and like you said, his eyes are downfield more often, and he's allowing the wide receivers to win one-on-one matchups with those slants. So I just wonder how that's working out, and if that's going to be a consistent thing because the sample size is so small, or is it going to be something that's going to help carry them further down the year? Because like you said, from year to year, he has changed it, right? It was mainly all wide zone running. Then he started adding more power, more counter, and now he's doing more shotgun. So I just wonder if it's going to be something that's going to help us further down the road.
Well, I'll say this. Here's what is going to help them is that I feel like they can go back at any time and do any of those things, right?
Yeah.
It's built into this offense. It's built into Shanahan. and it's built into a lot of the players on this team. So if they have to go back to more of a power style or under center play action, I think that they can do that effectively. And that's what's great, especially if they could sneak into the playoffs, to have multiple styles. How do you prepare for that, right? Like, you think that they're going to do one thing and they come in and do another. Boom, all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball. Then they make another adjustment at halftime and do what I mean, there's a lot of things that Shanahan can do here. I feel like he although started out slower than what I even know that he would want to do, he's put himself in a good position here because he's developed this whole new game plan, and it's something that they can do and change however they see fit at any time in the league. He's set the whole league up for something, and he can do something completely different at any time, and I love that.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. And I think a testament to that is in the Rams game where, Jalen Ramsey likes to shadow the number one player on the offense the whole time. Right. And he was getting Deebo in spots where Jalen Ramsey couldn't put his hands on him and doing that. And then in the Jags game, he wasn't even a part of the passing game. It was all Ayuk and Kittle, and he got him in the run game. So I thought it was just very interesting, the play call, the where all the assets were allotted on the offensive structure. And seeing if this is just kind of Kyle hitting his stride or just like Jimmy's playing well with his back up against the wall, maybe Kyle's doing the same thing with the play calling. It's going to be interesting to see how it moves forward with the games that we got coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Jeremy, I tried to go to you before I went to Randon, but you weren't there. And then it seems like your video has been cutting in and out, but what's up, my guy? Yeah, you're right. I mean, they've done some things different. They've done a good job of putting people in the right position the last couple of weeks. And I'm excited. To me, I've kind of been saying it all show, but we get to find out who the 49ers really are, right? Because they've been one team, and now it seems like they've turned into a completely different team the last couple of weeks. Who is this team really in 2021? I think we find out Sunday, and that's exciting. What do you think the score is going to be of this game?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Sunday we'll definitely find out. And then if it's not us controlling the game in the first quarter, how do we respond offensively to not being up by 2 touchdowns at the end of the first, right? Two of the longest drives in Niners history in the last couple times. It'll be interesting to see if the game doesn't open that way, how the offense responds. I think the offense is clicking. I think Elijah Mitchell should play, and the Minnesota lost a couple of their D tackles. I'm gonna go 30. I think I'm gonna go 30-27. I think it's gonna be pretty high scoring game.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah, I think that's the score that I gave Aponte earlier. So I think we're on the same page there. Before I let you go to Thanksgiving side dish.
Man, I love some chocolate pie. It's not really a side dish, but for mashed potatoes probably and gravy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like a weird guy where like I make like turkey, mashed potato, and stuffing sandwiches with the bread.
Oh no,
rolls.
that's not weird. That's not weird. That's completely normal, my guy.
And then
especially for leftovers.
And then I just continue dipping it in the gravy, like almost like it's like Chick-fil-A sauce or something. Yeah.
I love it. No, definitely not weird. Listen, if you grew up in the 90s, and I know I even catch my kids doing this, right? So I'm sure this is still a thing across the board. But when your kids or you used to take like Doritos and put it on your sandwiches and stuff like that, listen, it's all systems go. Thanksgiving, you can mix really anything you want, and it ends up being pretty good. So I'm with you.
Yeah. Gotta be creative, man. You can't just let it roll, just straight off the fork, man. You gotta throw some curveballs in there.
Definitely not. Hey, that was a great call. Real quick, go ahead and plug your podcast real quick.
Yeah, I do Niner stuff for the Genuine Draft. Actually, on this week, I was with Rob Shue on his show. So go check that out on his YouTube thing. We did a pretty good episode for about an hour and a half. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, brother. Have a good Thanksgiving, and go Niners.
All right, you too. Go Niners.
All right, man. All right, Eric, I'm coming to you, my guy.
Hey, Jesse, how's it going?
Man? It's going good, man. I couldn't be better.
Say, I missed you last week because of the different day. I had a thing to do, but I did listen to your show. It was a good show. And I did like the fact that you brought up at the end, the one thing I wanted to bring up was the whole attitude of the team and how it felt totally different after that Rams win than like after the Bears win.
Completely. Well, guys, let me say this real quick because I know people are going to start saying, "Why does he sound so out of breath?" Just so you know, every time I talk to Eric, this man is on a power walk around the neighborhood.
Actually, it's a run, but
or run, whatever. Either way, for like the last, I don't know, 45 minutes that he's been waiting back here. So if it sounds out of breath, it's because he's been working his ass off, literally. So, all right, go ahead, Eric.
But I just like the whole attitude shift, and like it actually got me believing again. I mean, I pretty much was out of it after the Arizona game, and like was thinking, just like a lot of people, that the season's pretty much over. Just the way that they were carrying themselves, but then like Shanahan started to take responsibility that week, or at least tried to in ways, and then the whole attitude after the win where they were just, yeah, we got to keep it up, we got to go on to the next week, we're not going to linger on this one. Like totally different than after the Chicago win where they were just totally like celebrating like they won a playoff game and stuff. And that's what got me believing again, was their attitude shift. Not necessarily, I mean, the way they played also, of course, but also the attitude that they had after the game. But as far as this last game, the one thing I do kind of want to point out that I think Kyle really needs to figure out is what's going on with his whole down and distance thing, because while I 100% agree that they should have kicked the field goal on that first drive, I hated his explanation that it was closer to 2 yards than 1. And just because it's like, well, yeah, it was on the just inside the 2 yard line, but they only needed half a yard to get the first down, where it was the 1.5 yards or almost 2 yards to get the touchdown. And it seemed like he wasn't quite aware of that. And like, that's something we've seen in the past, like with the whole challenge of the fumble against the Colts. And then he had a similar comment that it was closer to 2 yards or he thought it was closer to 2 yards than 1. And if he knew it was closer, he would have gone for it. I think that was in the Green Bay game. And yeah, I just think that's something that he needs someone up there that's like relaying the information correctly to him. Not necessarily his fault, but he has to figure out why that's happening.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, let's just be frank. It is his fault. I mean, he's the leader, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be you that does it, but you have to assign somebody that is that control guy that is giving you that information properly. So I mean, ultimately it does fall on Kyle, and you're right. I mean, you know, people hate it when there's a big win and you come in and you nitpick some things, but that's good teams correct those things. And this is now the third time minimum we've seen it this season. So yeah, that's a good call out by you.
But I mean, that's just something I wanted to see. And then the other thing I was thinking about is the whole idea that Kyle's offense takes like a year to figure out.
Yeah.
I kind of switching beliefs here, and I'm kind of thinking now maybe it's actually takes Kyle a year to figure out how to use his players.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. I like that.
But just throwing that out there. And
you know what? And here's something that'll back that up real quick, Eric, is Matt Ryan talked about how he and Kyle were not on the same page after their first year together in Atlanta. And then he went and reached out to Kyle during the offseason and they got on the same page. So that's a good point by you. You might be onto something there.
And then lastly, I would keep Deebo and Bosa and just figure it out. I mean, to me, they're your two most important players. You can't get rid of either of them at this point after getting rid of Buckner. And the salary cap next year is supposedly going up like $30 million. So we should be able to figure something out to keep them both. I mean, all the other teams can figure it out. So
Yeah.
I mean, we got a salary cap guy, right? So he should be able to figure that out.
Yeah, and really their contracts aren't going to really hit heavy until the year after or even the year after that, so they'll be able to figure it out. They're going to
Yeah.
keep both.
And supposedly even like in 2023, it's supposed to go up even way more. So I don't see salaries as a problem, and we shouldn't even be discussing that as a problem of who we should keep because of salaries. That's just my opinion.
I agree. What's your go-to side dish for Thanksgiving?
It's got to be the stuffing for me. Stuffing with some gravy on it.
I like it. You're the second one to say that tonight. Okay, I feel it. All right, brother. Did you give your score prediction?
I did not, and
okay, what is it?
I really don't know. To me, this is like the toughest game we have left. I mean, there's Cincinnati and Tennessee, but I think this team gives us some problems, and I don't like mentioning the injured players on the other team because every team has injured players, so teams will figure it out if they can. And I guess if I had to give a score, I would say, I don't know. I hate to say it, but I just have a feeling the Vikings are going to win this one.
No, don't do it.
I just have a feeling that they're going to take a lead. I mean, it just seems like they take a lead every game. And I hope the 49ers can figure it out how to come back from that lead, because that's something they haven't proven they've been able to do yet, is come back after getting down. So, but if I was betting on it, I would have to go with the Vikings, probably like 27-24.
Okay. All right. We're in the same ballpark. This is going to be a tough game, man. This is really it. Like I said before, we're going to figure out what these teams are about.
I think this is really the toughest game that we have left. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think it's tougher than, I don't know, just being at home. I mean, I know we would beat the Rams, but it just seems like they have a different mentality on the road. So I think this will be okay in Cincinnati and even Tennessee, even though it's that short week. But
yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, that Tennessee game, which seemed like a schedule loss coming into things, all of a sudden seems winnable, right? So you're right. The Levi Stadium has been a house of horrors lately. So hopefully that Rams game was a precursor to what we might see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, brother. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk next week, hopefully. All right.
All right, man. Bye.
All right, Chanel, I'm going to come to you in a second, but I got to answer this question here. Jessie, do you really think because of John York showing up on the field is why Kyle changed his play calling? No, I don't think he necessarily changed. Well, I guess they did commit to running the ball. That was the biggest difference there. No, I don't think so. I mean, because if I remember correctly, York showed up on Tuesday or Wednesday. At that point, you've already got the game plan in and you're just kind of showing it to the team and practicing it. So I'm going to say no, but I think it definitely lit a fire under him. Like I'll go that far. It definitely lit a fire under him. So there was something to that. He didn't show up just to trade pleasantries, right? Like there was a reason he was there. So anyways, all right. What's up, Chanel? How are you?
I'm doing good, Jesse. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for calling in, brother.
I think York needs to come in a little bit more, try to, scare some of these guys, and have them playing like they played these last two games, because I mean it's really working. They're starting to use their identity. Kyle's using his brain finally, and running the ball. And I'm sorry, but you have to have a pass rusher. The three recipes for a perfect team is a quarterback, pass rush, and left tackle. And you really need a pass rush. You could ask the Raiders that. Don't they wish they paid Khalil Mack over Derek Carr? Like I think they still want him back. You know.
Yeah, well, Chris brought this up as well, and I didn't get to address it with him, but Pittsburgh's the best example of this of anybody. I mean, look at who they always pay, right? Like they paid Harrison, they paid Watt, but over the years they've always let receivers walk because they know that they can find another one. Now, I think the 49ers are in a different situation. I don't think that they would let Deebo walk, but in that scenario, if they have to choose between Bosa and Deebo, yeah, I think, Bosa's probably the right way to go, but man, Deebo's so good. It's tough.
Yeah, and I really like Deebo. I think he's a good wide receiver / running back / everything. He does everything for us pretty much. And these last two games has been showing I mean, I would love to see him go deep and catch passes, like deep passes, but we don't got a quarterback that can do that. So you have to play him as a running back. You have to do all the jet sweeps and all that. Use him as a running back. We got to, if we're coming out, if we play Minnesota, we get this win, we actually get the 6th seed if the Saints lose.
I know. That's crazy, right? Like 6th seed is possible. Even the 5th seed, they have an outside shot, right? Like a lot of things would have to come together, but I mean, you beat the Rams again, anything can happen. So we'll see what happens there. But they went from no playoffs to now they have probably as good of a shot at the 5th seed as they do is not making the playoffs. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, and any given Sunday,
Especially this year, Chenille. This year is so different than any other year. There is no clear-cut favorite. Usually by now, there's an established pecking order. You kind of have an idea of who has the best shot to make it to a Super Bowl. I don't know out of the AFC or the NFC the team to beat. I really couldn't tell you.
Right. It's all over the place right now, like you said. And, it's going to be exciting. If we keep playing like this, I think we have a chance to, get to the playoffs. But I still think, I'm going with my theory. The Super Bowl loser, the quarterback that loses that's 0-1, they never really return. So I'll be happy with like a 2nd or 3rd round exit.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, real quick, let me throw this out to the chat. Chat, because I'm going to be going here in a little bit. Throw out your favorite Thanksgiving side dishes. It's a question I've been asking to everybody. I want to know what your favorite Thanksgiving side dishes are. Throw them out in the chat. But yeah, I mean, what? Sorry, what? I lost my train of thought. Where were we? What did you just say before I'd gone that route?
I was talking about how the 0-1 Super Bowl loser doesn't come back in the NFC. Usually, it happens. It happens in the AFC, but we don't do that around here. I'm sorry.
Well, and not only that, but Jimmy G is just never been a top level quarterback. And if you just look at the history of Super Bowls, you've got Joe Flacco is the only quarterback since 1988 who has not been to a Pro Bowl at one point in their career to win a Super Bowl. So you've got that coupled with making it and losing it and not being able to come back and win. That right there is a recipe that tells you that if Jimmy G were to do that, he'd be breaking some major molds. And before you ask, yes, Trent Dilfer made a Pro Bowl, and so did Nick Foles. So don't ask.
But they didn't lose. They won.
Right. And not you. That's the chat, because last time I threw that stat out, somebody's like, "Oh, Dilfer." No, Dilfer actually made a Pro Bowl. And you're right. Those guys, they won in those cases.
And Steve Young too. When he went in, he just capitalized.
Yep. Yep.
So
absolutely, you're right. You're right about that. What's your score prediction?
I say if we continue this, I think we could win 28-17.
Okay, I like it. I think that's the biggest point spread that we've had tonight, or second biggest. I like the confidence for sure. What's your favorite go-to side dish?
Favorite go-to side dish, probably mac and cheese. No, I'm sorry, not mac and cheese. Mash and gravy.
Mash and gravy. Yeah, that's a good one. But it's got to be like homemade potatoes, obviously, like legit ones. Yeah. All right. I like it. I'm digging it. Is there anything else that's on your mind before I let you go, brother?
Yeah. Shout out to the Niner Empire. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Same to you, Jesse. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
And hit those likes for this man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You have a happy Thanksgiving as well. And let me switch this banner before we hop out of here. Hold on a second. Yeah, keep throwing out those side dishes. I love to hear it. I love to hear the side dishes. Here we go. Boom. Got it. Stuffing. We got some cranberry. Okay, I'm iffy on the cranberry sauce, right? Like I've had some good cranberry sauce, but I've also had some really bad cranberry sauce. So I'm very iffy. Cranberry sauce is I'm finicky about. Made it to the big screen. You always call in, bud. You can call in whenever you want. You're just a little bit late. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you so much for doing so. Happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. I am thankful for all of you for giving me support, giving the channel support. One last thing before we go, make sure you hit those likes and subscribes if you have not done so already. And pinned to the chat should be the Patreon account. I'm going to be doing a lot more 49er content. I'm still going to keep this here. Last Second Sports channel is not changing, but I am starting a Patreon that's going to be driven towards 49er content and will give me a fail-proof plan in case something happens to the YouTube channel again. So make sure you tap in over there for some exclusive content. Happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. Debbie, tap it in. Last Second, collard greens, smoked ham. That's a good one also. But guys, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much. And until next time, out.